Hooray!
It's still saying we've been live for an hour. That doesn't make any sense unless it's the savings time thing.
You know what? Don't worry about it. It might be the savings time thing, but I can see on my little timer here it says live for 13 seconds at this point. So
see, on mine it still says live 1 hour.
Yeah.
I don't get technology anymore.
It's because we're old. We're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I had a Nokia 3310.
They brought that back recently, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
Hey, Daniel, thank you for persevering with us while we try and sort this shit out.
Hello, Daniel.
This is definitely the link. By the way, Daniel, you wouldn't happen to know why it still says we've been broadcasting for an hour. I'm just being dumb. I need your expertise in this matter. Hey, Angry Pacifist. Hello. Thanks for joining us. He's cool.
Hello.
TARDIS owner as well, yeah. So we're nice little community we've got going on here. By the way, yeah, just apologies for our unprofessionalism. This is our first time.
First time.
First time.
Streaming,
hosting a stream anyway.
Don't put streaming virginity because that's going to make it sound far. Well, yeah.
It's true.
Yes, you've been on mini streams, haven't you?
Well,
getting yourself out there.
My time. Yeah, so we've got 2 people watching. Yeah, hit the like button if you want to. You don't have to, but it'd be cool if you did. Right, so we haven't really got a set agenda for this stream. We just thought we'd start talking and see where it takes us. But if you guys have any suggestions, pop them in the comments. It'll probably end up going back to Doctor Who as it usually does.
Well, this is it. Every time we try to talk about something else, it turns into Doctor Who very quickly, doesn't it?
It does. Everything comes back to Doctor Who in some way.
Well, there's a good reason for that. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I'll tell you what. Getting the ball rolling then.
Go on then.
I've got. I did the free week of Disney Plus.
You did, didn't you? I was tempted to it, but I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's not really anything on it that cheers. We're drinking our
virtual clink.
Budweiser.
Yeah.
Virtual clink. He's got Budweiser. I've got Beer Deluxe from Asda because I'm cheap and Sean
so am I.
is not.
It's just the cheapest thing I could order to be delivered. Yes, everything else was either really expensive or really shit, so I thought I'll go for the shit stuff for now.
I don't, just for now. But Disney Plus is there's not really anything on there. I know people have said this for ages, but it's like
it's basically Mandalorian, isn't it?
It's Mandalorian, and if you want to spend like £6 a month on that, then fair play to you. But it's like all the MCU. Yeah, well, that's it. I've seen it already.
Yeah, on the high seas. Yeah,
on the high seas.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, you know what? If you're going to put it out like 6 months in advance of everything else, then just
that's the thing. I basically just I kind of just catch up. I'll catch up with things via other streamers, YouTubers like Noel, Gary. Gary! Shout out to Gary from Nerdrotic. We are not worthy, Gary. Sir. We are not worthy.
Gary,
thank you for your support on our video and for using part of our video in your video. That was like awesome. Thank you so much, mate.
Oh my god! It's because I'm subscribed to Nerdrotic. It's like the second it appeared, I was like, looked at it. It's like I think within 4 minutes. So of the video going live, I sent you the link.
Like a bitch that day.
We're in the video.
Well, it was when I actually posted the video up, and within like an hour, it was like Nerdrotic. Well done, lads! Great video. Subscribe. And I actually like double checked. I was like, is this really him or is this someone? And so I was like, would he really notice us? Really? I don't know. And then I've obviously clicked on it, and it was him, and it was just like, wow! Thank you, sir, supporting the little man.
Yes, the little man, the two of us. Oh god.
Angry Pacifist says Disney Plus is DVD collection size right now. Yeah, I suppose it is.
It's kind of like there's stuff on there, so it's worth the week's free trial. Maybe keeping it for a month and cancelling it, but it's kind of like, there's all the classic stuff on there, but once you've watched it once, so you're not going to watch it again, not for a very long time at least.
Yeah, it's a bit like it's when I can't remember. It might have even been when Amazon first came out with streaming, and they only had a limited thing, and then they just kept adding and adding. It's probably going to be like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. And they've got enough of and the one thing that has been a good draw so far that's keeping turning it back on is they've got all 30 seasons of The Simpsons.
All of them? All right.
All 30 seasons, unless there's more than 30 seasons now, because it's been going on.
Oh, yeah, because Disney now own The Simpsons, don't they?
They now have Fox, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got The Simpsons on there. And again, that's been enough of a draw, because I haven't watched a lot of those for a very long time. So it's like,
No.
Why not?
I think when the new episode started, like, when half the episode was the fucking intro, it's a bit like, kind of filling a void here, right? You know what I mean? Like, they've run out of ideas.
Yes, what I was watching just before this all turned on was Bart learns, basically gets stuck doing ballet as one of the left in the sports. It's like, I haven't watched this in a very long time. Yeah, it's still good enough, but it's
always on Channel 4 though, isn't it? just watch it on that.
Yes, but you can't pick which ones you want to watch.
No, I know. Yeah, you just get what you're given. Yeah.
Get that. Yeah.
Daniel says most of the early Big Finish are on Spotify. Oh, nice. Yeah, Daniel's been like smashing it with his Big Finish reviews and audios, and I'm it's criminally I haven't listened to as much as I should have. I've listened to Paul McGann's first 2 stories, I think, and I've listened to some of David Tennant's stuff, and I think Harry a couple of years ago actually, I think it was one of the multi-doctor stories. I can't remember the name of it, excuse me, but need to listen to that more.
That's it. I need to get into it a bit more, really, because I think I've listened to a couple of them, but they haven't really made their way into sort of my collection. I don't really have the time. It's weird. I have the time to sit down and read stuff, but I don't have the time to sit down and listen to stuff, which is ridiculous. But it seems to be the way things work out.
Yeah, get with the program, Jack. It's all about audiobooks now. Yeah. No, old school. No, to be fair, when I start listening, that's the problem with audiobooks, because when I start listening, and then before I know it, I'm asleep. And then when I wake up, I'm like, oh, there's all this stuff that I listened to subconsciously that I don't remember, and now I have to go all the way back, and then I fall asleep again because it has that effect on me. I just sort of go, this is nice. Whereas for reading, I have to actually concentrate and focus rather than just sort of lie down. Hey, Paul, thank you for joining us, mate.
Hey, hello.
Paul Bryant's he's a good lad.
Oh, awesome.
Another old school TARDIS owner. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Nice. Cheers. Hope you've got yourself a drink or crisps or a snack of some sort.
Cheers.
Because
you're going to need it.
Well, it's kind of...
Carry on, mate.
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is that, I've had bad experiences with audiobooks on the basis that it's I did quite a few of the Star Wars ones from back in the day, but they're all cut down. It's kind of like
what a bridge.
I've got the actual book. I've got the actual book, so I know you're missing like 2 or 3 chapters in the middle there. Okay, there's stuff you can cut, because if you did everything word for word, it'd be like 12.5 hours. So.
Well, that's a lot of audiobooks I have are that length. I think the only one I got through was The Martian. Funnily enough, before it was a film, it took me about 2 weeks to get through it, just listening to it. But it was actually really engaging. But other than that, I can't get on with them. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I fall asleep. That's why.
And it's like I for some weird reason. I've only had one. Weird reason. And I just don't have the time to sit down and listen to stuff. It's just I can sit down and read. I can't sit down and listen. It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I think it all depends on the setting as well. Like, obviously, right now we can't really do it traveling.
So doing it at home while I'm trying to work stuff.
Yeah, like back in the day, we used to go traveling outside. it would be quite a good accompaniment to
Oh,
go to work or
long time
something.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul says Sharknado is better than Doctor Who right now. I never thought I'd say this. Yeah, it is. It's so much better.
First of all, how dare you? Sharknado is classic.
No, he's being serious. This is the thing. Better than now, like typical Doctor Who. Well, yeah, because at least with Sharknado, it knows it's shit, and it's like it's not trying to be good. It's just stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah, when's that new thing that the guy was doing coming out? You know, the one that you showed me, the advert for the zombie tidal wave.
Zombie tidal wave. I think it might have already. I think that might already be a thing. We'll have to do that, or maybe it just never got released. I don't know. With Ian Ziering.
Yeah, main guy from Sharknado is doing a new movie, and you can find the advert on YouTube. But it's basically
zombie tidal wave. I think that'll have to be our next thing.
Next one.
Yeah, I don't think Lost in Space was crap enough, was it?
No, it was just
a bit. Yeah, that's it. It wasn't. Yeah. I thought it was going to be.
I enjoyed it enough at the time, but
I thought it was going to be worse than I remember. It turned out to be that I thought I remembered it being crap, but it was just meh.
It's just meh, and it's like, well, that kind of killed that series. But we'll find something new that's bad we'll make fun of. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stuff. I mean, basically anything with what John Travolta can probably be made fun of quite easily.
Oh, Battlefield Earth. That's what we have to do. Battlefield Earth. That's on the list.
Every shot's at a Dutch angle, so it's some reason.
Basically, the Scientology, the movie.
Yeah. Oh, we love you, Lord Xenu. You're amazing. Praise Lord Xenu.
Praise him indeed. Paul says, "What is this outside that you speak of?" What? What does that even mean? What are you talking about? There's an outside. What?
Back in the past, in the long ago, there were these things called. There's this thing called the outside, where the big yellow face up above shone down at you, and
the yellow light god.
It would scare you, but it was fine because it wouldn't hurt you. Not unless you stayed out in it too long, then your skin would burn.
Then it'd give you cancer, yeah. But
don't give you cancer.
Everything does these days, but
yeah.
Even coronavirus. Oh shit, we shouldn't have said that, should I? Never mind. We're not monetized anymore.
Well, apparently you can say coronavirus on YouTube again now. Apparently, but
really?
First of all, we're not monetized anyway. So, this is it. A few of the bigger people have been saying it, and they've not. Well, I don't know if they've been demonetized or not already, but it's like shrug. Let's just say it. COVID-19.
Foster's virus.
Foster's virus.
We'll just call it the cunt.
See, my favourite one so far has been Kun Flu.
Hey, that's brilliant. Not if you get it, but the wording.
Yeah. So the Chinese Wuhan virus is a bit too long, but the Kung Flu sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not
where it came from. No, it's not at all.
No.
Well, if we're going to get in trouble for saying it, we might as well just have fun with it.
Might as well really get in trouble and get our channel deleted. Can you imagine that? First live stream and then we're gone.
Well, that's fine. We'll start up a new channel called
Holic Nerds.
Holic Nerds. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
We'll create that. We'll create that after this as a backup channel.
Yeah.
Holic Nerds. There you go.
Paul says, Paul agrees that we have to review Battlefield Earth. Yeah, it's got to be done. Maybe the dumbest film ever. We also did Batman and Robin, but it got taken down because this is before we kind of knew what we were doing. We sort of started watching Deadpool 2 and just kept the camera rolling, and it got taken down because of the audio of Deadpool 2. Not for Batman and Robin. They didn't give a shit about that. So we have to do that again.
But then the thing is, this is before we actually learned how to do any editing. I say we, it was you who learned how to do editing, because you're the one who's done the editing. Getting videos in. I'm
still at a very basic level, but it's a level nonetheless, I suppose.
There's a reason why you're hosting this and not me, Sean. You're the technical whiz kid here.
Well, I just have a sort of half decent laptop, whereas yours is decent, but the browser's about 10 years old.
This is it. It's kind of It was a shitty laptop when my granddad got it, and then I got it from him when he passed away like 8 years ago. And it's like, it still works, but it's like, unless I'm going on to like, Swedish pornography, it's basically useless.
That's what your phone's for, mate.
Swedish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure EE are going to get very angry at my internet history.
They don't care as long as you pay. That's it. Pay your bill. They don't care about what you use with it. Oh, Daniel just said he just recently smashed 100 subs. Congrats, mate. Congratulations. Nice. Fully deserved.
Congratulations, Dan.
Only took us 3 years. It took him 3 months. What have we done wrong? We're just being lazy, whereas he actually gives a shit about what he does.
He's making videos.
Yeah.
This is it. He's actually making videos where we kind of do this like once every month or so. Yeah,
we've been trying to make it more regularly, but now maybe the irony of it is that we'll probably end up putting more videos out under quarantine than when we weren't under quarantine.
That's true.
So silver linings.
Yeah. Damn you, pandemic, for causing untold misery for thousands. But at least we can make more videos now.
That reminds me. Yeah. We need to do Birdemic.
Of all the things that helps you remember. Oh yeah, it does have to be done.
Well, no, just because you said pandemic and it sounds like Birdemic, so just jogged my memory.
Of all the things that make people remember stuff, I was on Netflix earlier today, and it's Contagion. It's the most searched film.
Yeah,
on Netflix
it's like top 10. It's like, what is the matter with people? You know what I mean? It's like also similarly on the App Store. It's like Plague is like the most popular game to play at the moment, and it's basically you're just trying to infect the whole world. It's like, that was fun when we weren't actually in it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And actually, on gaming news, I think they've cancelled E3 this year, haven't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Which means that's probably a very bad thing.
But there was no E3 last year. Was it Sony didn't turn up to it, did they?
Sony didn't go last year. Nintendo haven't gone for years. They do their own thing. They do Nintendo Treehouse and they do Nintendo Directs and stuff over the course of the year, so they don't go. There's not really anything worth watching. And it's like, I don't bother watching it anymore. Wait till it's finished and watch all the trailers on the internet, which means E3 as a concept is probably done.
It's redundant, really, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it was always kind of fun. I think that's one of the first videos we did.
Actually, yeah, E3 2016 thought somewhere down there.
Somewhere down there in amongst the videos. It's kind of when we were still trying to work out what the heck we were doing.
Yeah, we were literally just having a chat and just decided.
Yeah.
Should we just turn the camera on? People say apparently we're quite funny when we talk together and we're pissed. So that's where the idea of Nerdaholics came from. In case you were wondering.
Nerdy alcoholism. It's a wonderful thing. Okay.
Paul says review Birds of Prey. Yeah, but you see, that's just going to annoy me. As a sort of cult, unless it's just to tear it to shit, then yeah, probably.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of like it basically goes to show that they really didn't know what they were doing when they were planning this. That has been too much interference from various activist groups, because
again,
with all the and my understanding of this is that originally the Joker was going to be in it and be like a proper part of it. It was going to be the Joker and Harley Quinn's movie, but because Suicide Squad didn't do too well, Jared Leto wasn't. Jared Leto wasn't going to come back, so it's like he wouldn't be in the movie, which means they had to retool it last minute.
And also, obviously, considering you just had Joker, as in. Joaquin Phoenix. I suppose they would think maybe they didn't want to confuse people, but it's like you're not really giving the audience that much credit, are you, with their intelligence? I think that you can tell the difference.
Yeah, they can tell that one movie's good and one movie's bad.
The one actor's I was going to say one actor's shit and the other's good, but Jared Leto, he's been in good stuff. I'll give him that. He has been in some good stuff, but he's not right for the Joker as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of good stuff, but he's never been the standout person in any movie, really, has he?
Well, no, which was the film that he won? He did win an Oscar though, didn't he? Supporting actor, but then that means shit these days.
Okay, best supporting actor, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm the best one in the background.
Yeah, I'm the best one that's sort of like doing photo bombs.
Yeah. Well, this is it. But yeah, if anyone knows a movie he's been in that's good and he was like a really standout thing from it, then yeah, I'm willing to watch it and learn. But I don't know.
Also, I just hate his band as well. It just puts me off.
Oh I can't God, he's got a band.
Yeah, so it's just like prove me wrong with something, and then maybe I'll. But yeah, but it just I don't know the kind of the whole sort of deranged thing of tattooed on his head. It's like you could be more on the nose. We get that you are a psycho through your actions, not through what you look like.
Well, I think the problem is when it came to the Joker, if they're going to try and do a new twist on it, you have to do something like the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix. You have to do something quite different with it, because you have like the mobster version of the Joker with Jack Nicholson, and then you have the absolute mental case of the Joker with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, it's the anarchist. Yeah,
it's kind of, there's not really another thing you can do with the Joker. It's kind of like it's the same one of either one of those two, just doing a different plan or something.
Yeah,
but it's like if you want to bring something new to the role,
I think Joaquin kind of got I think his was closest to like the Killing Joker.
Yeah,
of the ones that they've done so far.
Yeah, his whole thing was just like he's mental, and it's just the Joker movie wasn't even really about the Joker. It's just how he went and flipped and became super mental.
Well, yeah, I mean, he only started being the Joker, right? Spoiler alert. Right at the end, so and it was like, oh, all right, now it's getting really good. I want to see more of that, and then it finished, and it's like, oh, I know the whole point was not him being the Joker. It was how he got to be the Joker, but it was. I found the other bit more interesting. I know that's like typical, but I would have liked to have seen how he would have gone on to be the Joker in like Batman's world. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're talking about doing a sequel now, so whether that actually happens or not, the thing is, he'd be too old to be. Yeah, he'd be too old to be the Joker that fought Batman, because it's he's playing a 30 to 40-year-old. I think that's how old he is in real life anyway.
What, Joaquin? Yeah, he's in his 40s. Yeah.
If he's in his 40s, it's like, so if they're going to have to, you've got little kid Bruce Wayne there. If you're going to have him fight it, you've got like a mid-40s-year-old man who's going to be mid-50s at the earliest, fighting an 18 to 22-year-old in armor.
Yeah, but then again, Joker doesn't really. I was going to say he doesn't really like fight hand to hand, does he? That often, like he has gadgets and he has henchmen and he has traps. So it's like he could feasibly do it. Just get
the official thing
his hands dirty another way.
Well, it's like I think most of the bios of the Joker, he's basically almost as good at hand-to-hand combat as Batman is, on the basis that he's fought Batman so many times, he's picked up a lot of it.
Yeah,
I think that's like in his bios and stuff. But yeah, it's like I still don't see.
I suppose. Sorry, go on.
No, it'd just be interesting to see what they do with it next, because it's like they were originally saying they weren't going to do a sequel at all, but then obviously this made so much money on such a tiny budget. It's kind of like, and it's like with all the reception to it, it's kind of like, they're going to do something. They'll do something about it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. Some of these comments. Daniel says, "Review Rebecca Gold." Yes, we need to review Rebecca Gold. Have I told you about Rebecca Gold, Jack?
No, you haven't.
It's basically it's basically a fan series written by one of the guys who is a regular on the TARDIS show, Mega Geek. And he's like a director and a writer, and he basically shows you how you can do a strong female lead in an action role better than Chris Chibnall can.
Wow.
Daniel, can you put the link for that in the chat for me, mate? And then we'll get him to check it out. But yeah, it's definitely worth reviewing. It's only like 5 minutes each episode. But there's so many like sci-fi references in there, and it's done really, really well. So yeah, we'll definitely review that.
Okay. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Paul says a better film than Contagion is Life After Porn. Now that is groundbreaking journalism. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, this is it. I mean, well, you miss the outside eventually. So going stir crazy at the moment. It's just.
That's the thing, though. People, do you think people will just like there'll be a lot more agoraphobia as a result of this?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think everyone, as soon as everyone can get outside, they're going to feel great. I mean, the biggest thing that I found as an issue, is like I've got plenty of stuff that I can watch, read, and do while I'm here. You know, I've got like all the more pitching Doctor Who stuff that I've been kind of half writing, but various things like the Star Wars thing I was telling you about the other day that I was been working on. I've got a lot of that sort of starting to get that set up, but ultimately, it's kind of like you just feel bored and lethargic, and it's kind of. But the second you go out to have your walk around the block or whatever for your exercise or whatever, you feel great. And it's just because you get outside and do something better.
When the pubs open again, people are going to be so pissed, like after one. You know what I mean? Because they haven't been to a pub for so long. Everyone's going to be falling about all over the place by the time it's like opening. It's going to be interesting. And they're going to be binge drinking as well. So it's like, it could be interesting. That.
Well, based on the Asda across from me, it's I think that's not going to be too much of an issue because there's almost nothing left alcohol-wise. It's kind of like, there's random bottles of wine and various random bottles of beer, but it's like, oh my God. It's like, what's it? It's like the last time you came over, I had to get like that box of cider because it's like, that's what they had. It's just like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't bad cider. I don't normally drink it, but because it's fruit cider, I can kind of get by it.
Well, this is it. It's kind of like needs must, needs must. If you're going to.
Indeed. Let's see what Paul's saying here. He says Jared Leto's best role was his arsehole rich family screw up in Panic Room. Yeah, actually that was him, wasn't it? Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay.
Fair. I haven't seen that in years, by the way, but yeah.
No, fair. This is it. I haven't watched it in a very long time either. I know I've seen it, but it's like, you know what? I'll give it another watch. If he was good in it, I'm more than happy to be proved wrong. It's like,
Yeah. Joker was a brilliant film. His descent into madness was amazing. Yes, and I mean that's basically what the whole point of it was, wasn't it? And the way that happened was fascinating. I just wanted to see a bit more of him, of like the sort of the takeover, and although I mean there's the whole thing about was it all in his head, and he isn't really the Joker, but I like to think that he went on to be the Joker in that universe, in that sort of parallel timeline. Let's just say he goes on to be the Joker.
Yeah, he was basically the Joker before Bruce Wayne became Batman, because obviously he's like still 10 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
He gets too old to do it, and either hands over the mantle or someone comes on and takes it, which would probably be more appropriate.
Like inspires a new generation of Jokers or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would work quite well for a film. Then you've got like new young Joker versus new Batman and everything. That'd be quite cool. I'd watch that. But it's kind of like,
let's write it. Pitch it.
Yeah, we could pitch it. We'll work on it. We can get something going with that.
Yeah.
Oh, dearie me.
Paul also says Agent Carter was a very good TV show. Yeah, it was, and that's a good example of a strong female lead done well, rather than constantly man bashing.
Well, this is it. It's kind of like the sad thing about people is that everyone wants to drag someone down rather than lift it up. So it's kind of like, we can make strong female characters by making men shit, or we can make
or usurping an existing role. Yeah, but that's going to go on to Doctor Who. But anyway, we'll leave that for the minute.
In a moment, we'll do that, but I'll touch on this first. Leave that for the minute. Have you seen the new Marvel New Warriors pictures?
Oh, was it what? Snowflake
and Safe Space.
Snowflake and Safe Space. Oh my God, yeah. Doomcock and Gary were just ripping that to shreds. I'm like, I can't actually. I thought it was a joke first. I thought, someone's taking a piss because like it's ridiculous, but no, that's actually true.
It's my God, I love it. I love it so much. It's so bad.
It's great in a way because it means that it can be like completely slaughtered over and over again.
It's so bad. It's kind of like it's for times like this you realise you're living in a comedy because you can't make
ridiculous.
This up. It's like I'm expecting a laugh track to play in the background every time I look at those pictures now. Oh my god.
Yeah,
But
fuck
no,
me. Internet
oh,
gas, wasn't it? Is that the thing as well?
it,
Oh, for God's sake.
one of the guys, one of the guys, screensaver or whatever, or screen time, has got powers through internet gas.
Yeah, that's it. I was just like, wow, this is what Marvel has descended into now. This really is it.
I'm fine
Comic
with
side, anyway.
cosmic radiation. Well, listen, I'm fine with cosmic radiation giving the Fantastic Four powers. Radioactive spiders, I can kind of get behind that as well because
You can
obviously it's
suspend
kind of
your
like,
disbelief somewhat with that, yeah.
yeah, it's like because that happened with the Spider-Man thing, it's kind of, well, no one really knew what radiation did to stuff, so it's kind of like, okay, fair enough,
Yeah.
whatever. But now it's like internet gas. Well, we know that the internet can't be a gas. It's electronic.
No, it's just fucking stupid on so many levels.
Oh my god, it's classic though.
It's classic
I can't
for
wait.
all the wrong reasons.
Oh yes, it's kind of.
Sorry, Daniel says, have you heard about the latest bog roll Gotham High? Yeah, I've heard about that as well.
Oh.
Only bits and pieces. Isn't that Batman bisexual or gay or something now? And he's like a moody teenager.
He's a moody teenager because he's like 18 years old. He's been kicked out of boarding school. And now he's gone to Gotham High, where the popular girl is Selina Kyle, before she becomes Catwoman, obviously.
Of course.
But she's got a mysterious secret, which is probably her being a kleptomaniac. Being the class clown, if I remember the thing correctly from what it was saying in the description. But the thing I find interesting about it, they stole all this apparently from a cartoon series that didn't actually run, called Gotham High. And it's
but I thought I heard about it like sometime before. It rang the bell anyway.
They got to the point where they made adverts for it. It was basically exactly the same thing. It's all the people you'd recognise as Batman and his rogues gallery, but in school.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. In principle,
DC aren't doing themselves. It's like, they're both going down the shitter. Well, they have been for a while, but.
Well, this is it. I had hopes for DC because they didn't seem to be falling quite so fast or quite as badly, but then stuff like this happens, and it's like, well, there goes.
There goes the neighborhood.
Well, at least I can try and get hold of Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog stuff. That's not so bad. That's quite good.
I've not heard of that. You must show me.
Obviously
not. We can't actually physically show me now, but just link it to me at some point.
I'll send you a couple of photos or something. It's like Ethan Van Sciver, in brief, basically he wrote the Green Lantern comics for a while at DC. But he left back in like 2015, 2016 because he voted for Donald Trump and wasn't shy about telling people.
So you can't do that. You can't do that and be a public figure anymore. No, can't do that. It's career suicide, isn't it?
Yeah, career suicide. But he then went on to start his own Kickstarter. He's got his own IP called Cyberfrog, which is basically a frog with robot parts, hence Cyberfrog, fighting giant space hornet.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And it's like, you know what? It's kind of, okay, he's not quite a great storyteller, but the artwork's great. So it's like, you know what? I'm happy with it. It's fine. And you know what? I think you can only get it through Kickstarter and stuff like that. You have to buy it through that. It's not something you can get hold of in the shops. But you know what? It's hopefully, touch what it will be. And
it's a beacon of hope for the future.
This is it. That's where it's all going to go. It's kind of like, if you want to get, you won't be able to get like Spider-Man or Superman or Batman books or something like that in the future. It's all going to be independent people making their own stuff, which will be good and bad depending on who it is. But you know what?
I think the more independent content gets out there, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And that goes for everything, really. It goes for like YouTube as well and movies.
Well, this is it. Had a spirited debate with the missus earlier today about, like, she's like, oh, you don't listen to the news. I'm like, well, I don't listen to anything on the normal media news because it's all lies. I think
also the news it's just depressing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, there could be like one little segment of the news that isn't just solely focused on this pandemic. Okay, because now it's like, we all know this is happening. We all know it's serious.
Hmm.
But there are other, just to sort of, for one's mental health, if anything else, just maybe report something nice for once. Because even before the pandemic, it was literally stabbing, stab, shot. No, there's nothing positive is reported about in the news. It's just like, you might as well rename it like the depressant, 9 o'clock depressant.
Oh, could you imagine though? It's like you're sitting down one day. It's like, on the lighter side of the news, Chris Chibnall was eaten to death by giant shit weasels, and the world is glad to be rid of him.
Oh man, you've just really got my hopes up now, you bastard. Daniel says, "How did you both meet?" How did we both meet, Jack? How did we both meet?
Well,
we have never actually met each other before. It's just a figment of your imaginations.
Yeah, well, okay, so basically, long ass time ago, I used to know a guy through school who basically knew a guy called Harry, who has appeared in some of our older videos, ones with really bad screen quality.
He has.
And he's like, a few times.
He is like by far more of a Doctor Who guru than either of us are. You know what I mean? He's like the master when it comes to Doctor Who. We need to get him on at some point.
Yeah. But he knew Harry, and Harry is one of Sean's best friends of all time ever. And
who we met through college.
Yeah, and it's kind of, apparently Sean was at the same house party as I was at the same time, but I was blackout drunk being sick in the garden, so...
Yeah,
shrug.
So we actually met before we met. We just didn't know each other yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like after that, because apparently we were there at the same time. But after that, Sean started working in the same place I started working. And, we just started talking about stuff because we're working in the same section. And inevitably, Doctor Who came up.
Yeah.
And there we go.
This was what? How long ago now? Must be at least 13 years coming up to it now.
13 years?
Yeah, that's mad actually. Because I was thinking, how long did I work there for? And I was like, I worked there for 12 years. So and it's been 2 years since then. So yeah, nearly coming up to 14 years.
I was going to say, so the missus and I have been together for, it's going to be 11 years. Well, it's just over 11 years now. And I knew you well before I met her, so.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
so that if that answers your question, Daniel, that's our convoluted answer to that. We could have just said we met at work.
Yeah, but if you tell the
interesting side,
that's kind of like, it's one of those ships passing in the night kind of stories.
Yeah.
The destiny had plans, and we met up, and then there we go. And now we have a somewhat successful YouTube channel with 150 people.
Dude, I never would have thought. I never actually thought we'd get past 50, to be honest with you. But then, thanks to guys like Daniel and Noel, and then Gary. Now it's like we've actually got some traction. That's the thing that kind of upset me a bit. Was like we got that really kind of like nice boost from Nerdrotic, and then I won't go into it now, but then the shit hit the fan in my life, and then shit hit the fan in the whole world as well. So it was like, oh God, why now? So then I thought, you know what? We need to get our asses in gear, at least for a distraction like this,
Which is why we're doing this. Because obviously you can't come over, because if you recognise the plain beige wall behind me, this is the Nerdaholics set.
Yes, Nerdaholics HQ. Yeah, we should probably, when eventually this outside business happens again, maybe get I might get a little green screen, put it behind us, or like some sort of flag. I don't know.
No, I think the first thing we have to do is when we can go outside again is we have to film a video in the park or something, or a beer garden.
Yeah, we did one in the pub once, didn't we? About Rogue One, I think. But then I think I had to take it down because there was not a copyright strike, but it was like the music playing in the pub had a copyright thing on it, so it was just like, I'll just take it down.
Beer garden next time will be fine.
Yeah.
There's no music out there.
Hello, Lee Anthony Davis. He says hello, and how are you both? I'm very well. Jack, I'm assuming you're all right.
Surviving. Yeah, surviving. No, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing great as well.
I hope you're all right. So I heard you were pretty poorly recently, Lee. So I hope you're okay now. Anyway.
Yeah. Touch wood, doing great.
Hail, Chris! Yeah. Chris Persia is in the house. Chris, I know. Chris is like the king moderator of all moderators. He's absolutely amazing. He moderates Null Stream. He moderates Nerdrotic Stream and Doomcock as well. He's just like he's a wizard. That's it. That's all I can think of. It defies the laws of time and space. But anyway, hail, Chris! Thank you for joining us, mate.
Hail, Chris. Thank you.
This is a sort of off the cuff kind of thing. We thought we'd do as, like you say, a distraction. So yeah, cool. Yeah. Good to have you on board.
Yeah, this is it. I think we can move into Doctor Who now.
Already? Didn't take actually it took longer than it usually does with us, doesn't it?
Well, 40 minutes. Well, this is it. Normally, when we make the videos here, we're chatting away for like an hour and a half before we even turn on the camera about useless inane stuff. But then it's like,
actually, that sort of stuff that we don't film is actually funnier than what the stuff that we do film. Probably because we're just sort of chatting about it, and then we're like, right, should we say that again, but on camera, and it never really comes out as well, does it?
No, because it's like we try to build back to it, and it just, it never happens. Oh, it never happens. It's not natural, is it? When we do it like this, it's more natural. So we'll talk about whatever we talk about and get to it.
Like us just chatting. There's just like there's a camera on, but it's like it's more in a casual setting rather than right. There's the camera. Let's be funny.
Hey, are we funny? Really?
I don't know, mate. I have no idea. Oh, hang on. Let me plug. My laptop is getting low battery. 1 second. Entertain them for a minute.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I can't see chat on my end, so I'm assuming everything's going okay. And if not, stay safe and be awesome. Because I'm assuming you probably are. Oh, he's gone. He's gone blank.
I'm still here. I'm just plugging things in, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's not. No one wants to really see an empty background today. So anyway, I'll be right back.
Well, no, that's true. Chris Chibnall can die in a fire. Okay, favorite classic Doctor Who. So I've got the chat up now. Okay, Genesis of the Daleks is absolutely awesome. I think we can all agree on that. That said, I have to admit I have a soft spot for the Green Death, because that's the first episode of Doctor Who I watched all the way through when I was younger. Watching, John Pertwee fight giant green maggots for some reason has just stuck with me, and it's just a weird thing to think about. But yeah,
that's that for Doctor Who. Oh yeah. Oh man. For a long time, it was Pyramids of Mars for me, because I just think it's just the greatest villain of all time in Doctor Who, singularly, in my opinion, because he's almost like he's undefeatable, apart from when he gets thrown in prison. But even then, he's still not dead. He's just like, and just some of the things he says, like, your evil is my good. But he says it like he actually genuinely believes that what he's doing is like the right thing, and that's the sort of thing that makes a villain so terrifying. And the fact that he was just a one-off, and yet he's so legendary in stature. But then I recently watched Earthshock, and now I'm thinking, that's a bloody good Cyberman story. And Adric dies, so that's quite good.
Win-win.
Yeah, then you got the invasion. Patrick Troughton story. That's just.
That's a Fenric, definitely awesome.
Classic Who. Ranking classic Who for me is very difficult in terms of like absolute favourite. But I'll say some of the favourites would be Pyramids of Mars. Genesis of the Daleks is always up there. Although I'd say controversially, I don't think it needed to be 6 parts. I think 4 parts would have probably. It drags a little bit in the middle for me, but it's still good. Don't get me wrong, still Doctor Who. Who's Matrixani?
Well,
it's up there.
Oh, what? Angry Pacifist. When I saw Green Death, I think I was trying to remember how old I was. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. but it would have been Wilderness Years or a repeat just before. Actually, no, I think it was. I saw this like back at the time I saw it. I think Sylvester McCoy was still going. It was just like a repeat on BBC Two on Sundays. Yeah. I think there, so it's just before the Wilderness Years started, if I'm remembering correctly. Because I think I remember the last episode. Because I remember
Survival.
Yeah. So I'm remembering that one.
89. So you would have been what, about 5 at that point?
Well, I'd been about 4 or 5 years old at that point. Yeah. Well,
so,
well, Daniel.
I'm looking at some of them now. Dalek Invasion of Earth. I was doing my Hartnell rerun. Oh,
yeah.
So fucking good. It's ridiculously good. That story is. Yeah. There's a lot of gems. In fact, there's a lot of duds as well. Classic series.
Yeah.
We're not like blind to the fact that there were some shit episodes then, but even the shittest ones are classics compared to the Chibnall crap. So we'll have to do. We'll probably do a top 10 classic stories, or top 5 actually. Top 5 might be a bit easier.
It's a top 5. Well, it's not that doing a top 10 would be difficult. It's more a case of considering how long it's taken us to kind of make and get out the other ones. That it's kind of like
Curse of Fenric's fucking awesome Sylvester McCoy story. Yeah. Oh god, yeah, that season 26 has got a few gems in it as well. Yeah.
Listen,
I can't disagree with that, Daniel. That's a quality story.
Yeah. In terms of pitching Doctor Who, Daniel, that's going to come back in theory next time. Well, in theory, once we can get out, or once we get a bit more planned. Because my laptop's sitting on the floor right there, but the internet in my flat is a bit crap. So if I turn on the laptop, it might well kill the internet for the stream, at least from my end. So, but in theory, I can try and do. Yeah, it'll come back fairly soon. It's kind of, I think we need to be a bit more planned and organised.
I was just thinking actually, if you wanted to, we could do make this like a weekly thing, or
we could do one now.
A weekly thing if that works for people.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to do this as and when. In theory, I could probably do one of the Pitching Doctor episodes now, because I'm pretty sure I remember where we got to, and what was going to happen next. So.
No, actually, do you know what? Funny enough, that reminds me. The last Pitching Doctor episode we did was, and this is just to let you guys know, this was filmed like at least a month before Spyfall.
About 2 months ago, something.
And it was so many things in Spyfall that were like similar to the last Pitching Doctor Who thing we did, and it was like, Jeff, you bastard! The only decent episode you had was stolen from us. I say decent, not utterly shit. But.
Oh dear. Cartmel Master
how much better it is to the timeless child. What do you think of the Cartmel Master plan with the other? Says Angry Pacifist. Oh yeah, so this is when wasn't it? There was going to be 3. It was like there were 3 sort of like Gallifreyan gods, or the originators of Time Lord Society. So it was Rassilon, Omega, and
then someone else, I think.
Yeah, well, it was basically the Doctor was the other, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And if that had carried on, that would have been interesting, because it doesn't completely bastardize original continuity, like the idiots that have been writing this god awful abomination have been saying that, it just adds to the lore. It's like, no, what you've done has stripped away the lore and flushed it down the fucking sewer. But with the other, that idea is definitely adding more to the mystery, as well as like giving it a bit more depth without pissing all over the franchise.
Well, I think we have an issue now where it comes to. Back at the very beginning, it's kind of, they didn't say anything about who the Doctor was, where he came from. I think they didn't even really establish Gallifrey as a place until halfway through Troughton's
it wasn't even mentioned
stuff, did they?
No,
it's kind of like
it's just from another time. Another world. Susan's line, but still, it wasn't even like the idea of a Time Lord wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, and at that point, you could add a few bits and pieces here and there, and it was fine, because when you've got very little, as long as you keep the mystery there, because I think it's been said by a lot of people that, you know what, there's having the mystery there is good. It's kind of, you can add little bits and pieces to it, but as far as we knew for certain, the Doctor is just a Time Lord from Gallifrey who stole the TARDIS and ran off, and that's it. That's all we've really got. We don't know why. We don't know why he ran away. Be very specific there, or anything else. And to be honest, we don't really need to know. You can hint at a mystery for it, as long as they don't really answer it. It's kind of war games. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to answer your question, welcome back. You haven't. Well, the only thing you've missed is the start of our inevitable Doctor Who talk about favourite classic episodes, and then Angry Pacifist said, "What do you think of the Cartmel Master Plan?" In regards to like the Timeless Child and changing canon, it's like, well, I quite like the idea of the Cartmel Master Plan. The Timeless Child is just a fucking abomination, pissing all over the history of the show. In a nutshell.
The Timeless Child was a joke. It really was. It's kind of.
I wish it was a joke. I really wish it wasn't serious. I really wish it was just like, I didn't mean it.
Well, this is it. I just don't understand what they were going for with it.
Oh, I do.
I really don't. It's kind of like.
It's called progressiveness.
It doesn't even work as a progressive thing, because it's like.
It's called being guilty about having 12 men play the Doctor. That's basically what it was.
Well, that's Chibnall's. Well, it is bollocks, but then what you've got is this thing is, though, it doesn't even change anything, because it's like, okay, you've basically tried to say, okay, the Doctor was a little black baby girl, to quote Heel versus Babyface.
To quote as Babyface. Hale. Yeah. Not that he's watching this, but Hale anyway.
Yeah. But it's like, you've done that, but it doesn't change anything. It's kind of like, all you've done is basically shit on everything and try to say, it's like, oh no, has it? And you have like that deliberate moment in there as well. Like, oh yes, well, does this change anything you knew about you before? Well, no, but all you've done then is basically piss off the fan base for no real reason. But
that's Chibnall trying to give himself like an escape plan of like, oh, just because I'm writing this doesn't mean anything's changed. Well, why fucking do it in the first place then? Do you know what I mean? It's like, why make this massive change just to say it doesn't make a difference? It's like, twat.
Well, hopefully he gets. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything nasty. I don't want him to actually get hurt or die or anything, because that's a bit too mean. But you know, if he could, like, I don't know, if he could like lose his car keys for a day or something, you know, make him really late for work.
A major inconvenience. Yeah. Like
he's. Well, I want him severely inconvenienced for a long time, you know. Reviewing classics. Yeah, I don't see no reason why we couldn't do that.
See, David, I would be well up for that, because it would be something to cheer us up, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Do one of these watch-alongs that they've been doing recently with the new series.
Well, you know what? That's probably something we could do. I don't know if there's a way of doing it on the stream that we're using here, but for StreamYard. But you know what? You're in one window, I'm in another window. We get the episode playing in a third window. But
yeah, and we can just do it like we did with the Sharknado stuff. Like we just have it playing in the background. And we just tell people like these watch-alongs have been happening recently. Press play and then crack on and then review it all. And then review it, that sort of thing. Daniel says Chibnall needs to go. Yes, he does. Yes, he does need to go.
Like I said, he needs to lose his car keys for a few days, just so that he's very inconvenient.
Yeah, that way he can't then drive to Cardiff, and that way he can't actually get into the writers' room, and that way he can't do fuck all.
Exactly.
This is if we're talking like the pandemic hasn't happened here, but because it has, it's going to delay it even further, which is kind of a blessing in disguise.
That's an interesting point, and obviously they would have. I'm pretty sure they finished filming on the set on the Christmas episode of like
that's already in the can. Yeah, he filmed that. He filmed that well in advance, just because he thought, oh well, our ratings might be shit, so we'll just film this one and we'll have it in the back burner and just like throw it out.
But that's an interesting point, though, is because now we've got the pandemic. It's kind of like, what else? Well, it's kind of, what are they going to do now? Is that going to lead to any changes in the show or any changes in what's happening? It's like, what do you think, Sean? Actually, everyone, what do you guys think?
Do I think there'll be
with the pandemic and with the shitty ratings? It's kind of like everyone's rewatching a lot of these things because no one's got any choice. So they're sitting there and they're like really looking at these things and thinking, why is this crap? And nearly kicked the table.
What will probably happen is he'll probably write a story about a pandemic and he'll blame it on us, as in not specifically us, but like as in just people like us, for example, and it will just be more of the same old preachy bullshit.
No, okay. See, I held out hope that maybe this pandemic might kind of make people review things. Well, I say review things, but look at these things and.
No, if anything, if people are like doubling down on this shit. Paul says, Sean, no more Sharknado. At least I get to enjoy your commentary. Well, that's what it's all about. Like, at least you don't actually have to watch the film. You can just listen to us talk about it. Because which ironically is what a lot of people don't like about those videos, because they say, I want to watch the film. I don't want to listen to you idiots talk. It's like, yeah, well, that's the highlight of this video, mate. You know what I mean?
that's the entire point of the video. If you want to watch Sharknado, you can
listen to us talk shit for an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you want to watch Sharknado, be our guest. Sharknado's great. I introduced you to Sharknado 2. Sharknado 1, they were actually attempting to be somewhat serious, even though it was ridiculous. And when you watch it back, it's like,
maybe they were, and it was really, really bad. And then they thought
it was just really bad, so they just hanged it up. And
surely they
made.
Sorry, go on, mate.
I was saying, then they got to Sharknado 2, and you've got like this one bloke with a baseball bat who hits a shark through the thing at a baseball field, and it's like, okay.
To be fair, we still we haven't done 1 and 2. We've done 3, 4, 5, and 6. We haven't done 1 and 2. Yeah. But I think it's because obviously from 3 it started to get really ridiculous. So Paul, you might get 1 and 2 on the horizon. Probably not.
Yeah. Blake 7 was awesome. I haven't watched The Prisoner in ages, but it's like I remember enjoying it well enough when I was watching it. But it's like
Blake 7's amazing. Well, I still haven't finished it. As in, I think I've got the last season to watch. Yeah, Blake 7's a fucking masterpiece.
Oh, Blake 7's fantastic. It's like
The Prisoner. I really hope so. Actually, I've only seen the 1 episode of, but the reason why I wanted to watch more is because this is going to sound stupid, but I'm a fan of Iron Maiden, and they wrote a song called Prisoner based on the TV show. And in the beginning of that song is an excerpt from it. It's just like, information. Who is number 1? You are number 6. I'm not a number. I'm a free man. Nah. And I was like, I really want to see that show because that sounds cool. So, it's just a matter of finding it, really.
Yeah. Well, this is it. That sort of thing. I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Now TV, and I've got Disney Plus until the end of tonight.
And it's not on any of them.
Can't put any of them.
It's not.
Unless I've missed it and been really dense.
It's like an old school thing. We actually have to go out and buy a hard copy of something. It's like, gotta have some hard copies of stuff.
Well,
that's why even though like Doctor Who's on BritBox, like the classic series, I still like the DVDs, man, and my Blu-rays.
Well, this is it. They can't update it and change it and adapt it later on, because that's what George Lucas is like. You can't get hold of the original Star Wars films anymore unless you've got them on VHS in your cupboard or something.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it'll be that masterized version now, won't it?
Yeah, it's the 1997.
Oh, fuck off.
God. Yeah, but it's like you can't get hold. Well, I'm sure you probably could if you knew where to find it, but you can't buy it casually, and you can't just stream the normal versions of those movies anymore. which is a shame. But
it is, yeah. So
and
for just
yeah.
joining us, if it's showing again, it's showing on my thing that we've been streaming for 2 hours, but we haven't. We've been streaming for an hour, so we don't know how long this is going to go on for probably until we pass out, I'd imagine, or at least until we forget what to talk about. So yeah, thanks for jumping in. Anyway, carry on.
CBS All Access has a 1 month free trial.
I don't think we can get it in the UK though.
Can we not?
Well,
okay.
Without sailing the high seas, anyway.
I think if you get like one of those VPN, a good VPN, you could probably hide yourself and like just download it normally. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to think what's on it that would be worth watching because.
Well, I think Paul was referring to. I think The Prisoner is on it. I think that's what's on it.
Okay.
As well as STD. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of the STD, again, Picard I've not bothered with because I just I don't want it to ruin my Next Generation experience, but according to others, it does.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's kind of Discovery is so removed that from the timeline. Okay, yes, it's like it's 10 years beforehand, but none of the original cast from anything are in it, so it's like you can quite easily ignore it and be very happy with that.
Apart from Spock now. Mikey Spock.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's kind of like you can quite easily ignore it and be this is it. If I want to watch Star Trek, I'll start halfway through Next Generation, keep going through Deep Space Nine, and that's it. That's usually what I tend to do.
Yeah.
That said, I do still kind of enjoy Voyager, and I do still kind of enjoy Enterprise. I think they've got a bad rap, particularly Enterprise, but that was actually really pretty good.
Yeah, Enterprise. It got better. It got better towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of like they were finding their footing. They were starting to do well, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're cancelled because you're not making enough money.
Exactly. It's like Firefly. It's like fuck. That's the ultimate one, isn't it? Well, if it didn't help, Fox kept like pissing around with the schedule with that show. Because it was like did they show like the second episode before the pilot or some shit, and people were like, "What the fuck's going on?"
The pilot episode for damn it, what's the name of the show? Serenity's TV show, Firefly. That's it.
Firefly. Yeah. Serenity's the movie.
Yeah. It's the first episode was shown at the end of the series, so that's why they had to reshoot parts for the second episode to explain who everyone was and why they were there. And then at the very end, everyone's thinking, hang on, why is the girl coming out of the freezer, out of stasis? It's like, but she's been part of the crew for ages, so why are they acting weird?
Yeah, and then Fox decided, we're going to cancel this. But you are the ones that messed this shit up. So, fuck's sake. Well, it's nearly 20 years old now. I don't know if they could actually... Well, I suppose all the original cast are relatively young still. I know Nathan Fillion could probably still put it off. Monica Baccarin still... she could definitely put it off still.
I haven't seen the rest of them do much, so I can't imagine they'd be too badly off. I mean, Voyager was awesome. I was a bit iffy on some of the bits of it. More about what they did with the Borg, because the Borg were just, it's like you dumbed them down a bit too much. Next Generation, it's kind of it's obviously best if you can watch all of it, especially if it's quite easy to get hold of Netflix and stuff. But it doesn't start getting good. Yeah,
it doesn't. No TNG. Season 3 onwards for me.
Yeah, season 3 onwards is definitely where it starts getting better. But I think that's kind of true of all of them, really. It's kind of like if you look at
Paul, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. I mean, you do need to give these things a go yourself, really. And I probably do owe it to myself as a fan of the character of Picard to see what happens. It's just obviously when the general consensus is like, but yeah, no, I will. For you, Paul, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's free on Amazon Prime. I can watch it from here. I'll give it a go. We're all trapped indoors, got nothing else to do.
Why not torture us? Nah, it's all right.
Oh, hang on a sec. Right.
Yeah, Jack, you know you can mute your mic if you want.
Oh, I could, but stop playing with the lights, you. Sorry,
Yeah,
the missus is coming into the room.
Hello, Ellie.
With the lights. Sean says hello.
Hi.
Ellie says hi. She's going to turn off all the lights in the living room.
That's what you need. You need an avatar, Jack, like this.
Yeah.
Although it's not really hard. I need to sort the definition on that. But anyway, so are you in complete darkness now for the rest of this stream?
Well, probably not, because I'll turn the lights on as soon as Ellie's walked out of the room.
You can still actually, if you press stop cam, it will just come up with a generic avatar. We don't have to be seen.
Right. That's right. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. No, I'll keep the lights out. Yeah. Okay, she's gone now. Turn the lights back. The lights back on. There we go.
The lights. Daniel says, "What do you think of Dark Angel?" Oh, that was the Jessica Alba. Was that Jessica Alba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica Alba.
I don't really remember much apart from finding her really attractive in that show. But yeah, I can't remember much about the actual TV show itself.
I like the first season a lot more than the second season of Dark Angel. The only thing that annoyed me is kind of this is not the show's fault. It's kind of obviously the studios and everything. They got to a point where it wasn't a cliffhanger ending or anything, but it was very much right. We've got everything set up, so when we go into series 3, we can do this really good idea. Long and short of it is, I don't know how much you remember of it, Sean, but basically you've got loads of genetically enhanced soldiers that kind of escaped from the military training camp.
I remember. I remember that bit.
And in series 2, they break back in to rescue someone. I can't remember why, and they basically find loads of these other experiments back before they made genetic super soldiers. They were trying to combine bits of animals with people to see if they could get a super soldier that way. And basically, then afterwards, then the idea was at the end of the second series, you had all these sort of animal experiment people, as well as a few of these super soldier people, basically carve out this little block area that they were going to live in the middle of the city. They had a flag and everything, if I'm remembering correctly. And that's basically a setup for series 3. It's going to be them just living.
Right.
Yeah. Paul's absolutely right. First season was good. After that, it's all soap opera. And Jessica Alba was very hot.
Smoking.
I don't know if she still is now. I haven't seen any recent pictures of her or anything. But,
yes, she is. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to revisit that, I think.
Yeah. Watch series 1. Don't worry about series 2.
I remember it being on Channel 5 in the UK when Channel 5 first started. Around, or was it Channel 4? 1, 2? And I was like, oh yeah, it's interesting. A bit like I always used to get it confused with Alias because it was a similar sort of thing, wasn't it?
Well, Alias was all spies and everything. With the guy who was the person who designed the Titanic in the movie Titanic.
That was a Jar Jar Abrams project, wasn't it? Alias. That was his first sort of thing, wasn't it? One of the first things. And
it had a shit ending. Wonder why.
Mystery box, wasn't it? Yeah, there was another mystery box. It's like, oh, what a surprise.
All mystery box. Oh, God. Rise of Skywalker upset me. Rise of Skywalker upset me a lot.
I still haven't seen it. I'll probably watch it without paying money for it, I think. Just because Last Jedi put me off so much, that franchise. It was just like,
Well, this is it. It's kind of like, I originally,
Sorry, I was saying E4. Yeah. Oh, it was on E4. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jack. Carry on.
Yeah. First of all, yes, Paul. Jessica Alba in the tight catsuit in Fantastic Four. In the second film, I think she is naked on the street for a couple of seconds. You can see her arse and being shown, which is really nice.
Sin City as well. That was a good movie.
Oh yeah,
As it happens, it wasn't just because she's good looking. Yeah.
But yeah, Rise of Skywalker. It's kind of I had planned. I was going to do. I didn't get tickets for the midnight showing because I basically didn't book any, and I didn't really want to. I was just going to turn up. But how my timings worked out, I was going to go for the 3 o'clock in the morning showing. Because then,
I remember you saying that at the time, do you want to go and see it? I was like, I don't really want to see it in general, let alone 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like 8 o'clock in the evening, and you were buying my ticket. Then probably, yeah. I will watch it eventually.
It's going to be like if you watch it like 3, half 3 in the morning. By the time it's finished, you can go to the pub and have breakfast.
yeah, you can go to the pub before and after for different reasons.
It's kind of abjectly against in basically every way, shape, or form. The sequel trilogy, you should plan what you actually start filming anything, because quite frankly, it's a hot mess.
No, big time.
About it is correct. You can derive some enjoyment from it, then good for you. Just
the thing is, I've really enjoyed Force Awakens, but I think that's I think that was probably because we've been waiting for it for so long after the prequels, and there was a long period of time where it was like, oh god, this is how Star Wars is going to go out with the prequels. At the time, anyway, it was like, But looking back, obviously the prequels weren't quite as bad as these turned out to be. But all right. Oh, it's Blue Bonnet Hoovian. Hey Blue, thanks for joining us. How you doing? How are you? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is just a random thing that we decided to do last night, wasn't it? We thought we'd just ramble for a bit and distract ourselves from the apocalypse in every way.
Yeah.
Blue, we were just talking we will go back to the subject. We're just on to Star Wars at the moment, so feel free to chime in. What you think? What were you saying, Jack? About I know I was saying Force Awakens. I think it was a case of, as Doomcock says, it was a bit of hypnosis, because it was like, oh my god, this is Star Wars again, and then it's really fast and really action packed, and then when you look back on it, it's like it wasn't amazing, but I still enjoyed it. But The Last Jedi was just an insult.
Well, this is it. It's like the thing about the prequels is that the story was good. It was just very poorly executed. So it's like all the visuals were great. Okay, the CGI is a bit dated in Phantom Menace, but it's kind of like, what are you going to do? It's technology of the time. But then it's kind of like the overall plot, like Anakin Skywalker falling into being Darth Vader.
The thing is, is he gone?
Fine.
Oh,
it's actually pretty good.
Sorry, so on my end, you sort of stopped. I thought you froze. I thought you'd gone then for a minute. Anyway, sorry, carry on. The thing is with Anakin, though, it's like I didn't like his sole reason for turning to the dark side was because he thought that his wife was gonna basically die. And okay, that's a fair enough thing to want to fight for, but to turn to the dark side of what about wanting to be an all-powerful person? That for me is more interesting. Makes more sense. There are ways that you can save your wife from dying in childbirth without turning into an arsehole. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Well, this is it. It's kind of like it's like, I'm not just going to disagree with anyone who doesn't like the prequels. Like I said, I can enjoy them because I think the overall thing of what they were trying to do was okay, but everything else was it's just.
I mean, it still felt more. It had more of a direction to it than the sequel trilogy did. I don't think, there was definitely a beginning, a middle, and an end to the prequels. Yeah. Okay, I agree with you, Paul. They were pretty bad, but they didn't sort of destroy destroy the legacy. The sequel trilogy kind of did do.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, I think the first big misstep of the sequel trilogy was that they basically didn't. you have like years of Star Wars books, and you don't have to adapt them or anything. So if I was gonna take over Star Wars, that's probably going to be the first thing I would do, because it would make so much more money. But
you've got so many stories you can tell with that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this is it, and yeah, you've got loads of stories there. It's like if you're going to do a sequel trilogy, you start it like 200 years later, and then do something from there, where you don't have any of the original characters back in it. Maybe a cameo from R2-D2 or something, and that's it.
Sorry, mate. Yeah. Blue says the prequels were better than the Super Ray show. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ray just destroyed Anakin's legacy. I mean, that for me, that's what the whole saga of Star Wars, and the first 6 movies anyway. It was like at first you think it's about Luke Skywalker, but actually it's the tragedy and redemption of Anakin Skywalker. That's the heartbeat of the franchise. So then to then go back and be like, no, actually no, it's some random bird who lived in the desert and happened to be Palpatine's granddaughter, I think.
Granddaughter, yeah,
granddaughter, and it's just like, oh, great. So all that character development for Anakin and for Luke as well got just flushed down the crapper.
Yeah, I would be interested in watching like the darker cut of Rogue One if it ever does get released. Well, originally I'm going with Paul saying it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of like Disney didn't like it because it's kind of you couldn't market it to kids as much. It's a bit too dark, and it's like, you know what, I'd be interested in seeing what the darker cut would have been.
Me too, because also it's not an episodic movie, so you could kind of you should really have a bit more grit to that, Yeah.
This is it. You could rewrite Rogue One quite easily. You could just drop half the characters, and you wouldn't change anything. It'd be quite easily done.
They were kind of boring for me. That's why I thought I liked. And this again. Might be a controversial thing. It's better for me. It's better than the actual episodic sequel trilogy. But apart from I think again the Darth Vader segment made it for me, because it's like, do we really care how the plans for the Death Star came about?
Oh no.
Something we were interested in. The journey to it was okay, I suppose, but it had some good moments in it, though. I'm not going to lie.
No, this is it. I'll take Rogue One, but I'll drop everything else that Disney's done for Star Wars. It's kind of, this is it. It's like, The Mandalorian's good, but it's kind of, I don't see that lasting. I don't.
Well, I mean, you've got Rosario Dawson has recently been cast as Jack.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, and that I think Rosario Dawson's a really good actress, and I think she was great in Daredevil, and I think she will actually suit that part quite well. So it'd be interesting to see how they work that into the series.
Yeah. Well, this is it. The thing is what I've seen of The Mandalorian so far has been good. Maybe I'm just being paranoid because I've seen too many things go badly that I can't see it lasting. And it's like, I don't want my hopes to get up. I don't. I genuinely don't, because it's kind of, it'll just hurt too much. It's just such a melodramatic thing to say about.
Obviously, it's obviously been commissioned for season 2, but is there a longer term plan for that, or are they just sort of renewing it season by season?
I think it's just going to be season by season. While it makes money, they'll keep making it. So the thing is, with a title like The Mandalorian, if you ever wanted to change the main character, you could. You just get a different Mandalorian. It's not like a TV show. Well, I could say something like Starsky and Hutch, just as a thing with people's names in it. It's kind of you have to have the same actors be there all the way through. Yeah, anything with like a name in it like that. Doctor Who again is still just a little bit. It's kind of the name is just a bit generic enough that you can change the actors over and you can get around it. It's like,
yeah. The Mandalorian is a Star Wars show that fans really needed, says Blue Bonnet. Yeah, it was. Absolutely, and it came just at the right time as well. like with everything going on with the actual movie side of things. When you've got someone like Jon Favreau involved, you're gonna be onto a winner usually.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, Jon Favreau's done a lot of good stuff. I don't think I think we can take this back to Jared Leto, what we were saying earlier. I don't think he's done anything that's been bad. It's not that I can think of. He's never been a big standout with anything, but he's been
in terms of like
direction
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Hang on, I'm just gonna go off camera while I have a vape, because otherwise smoke's gonna blow in the screen, and that won't be very nice for people. But I'm still talking.
Oh, Sean, you and your vaping habits.
I know. Dirty vapist.
Well, this is it. Rosario Dawson could have done Wonder Woman, because she's Spanish, and Wonder Woman's technically Greek, if she has any heritage, but it's a similar area of the world that it would have been okay. I don't see there being an issue there, but what do I know?
I know what Paul's going on about, though. It would have you get these people on Twitter and they're like, oh, well, that's not fair because they're not actually this or this gender or this like, race or creed or, all the rest of it. And well, that's why she's been getting also a lot. Rosario Dawson's also been getting a lot of shit for being cast the Mandalorian because of some sort of transphobe thing that apparently.
Apparently she and her family had like a butler or cleaner or something, and they were very, very transphobic to them when they fired him or her,
right.
Depending on how it is. Apparently that's the story, and it's just like, well, it's kind of like if this person was like stealing or something, like the story goes, then it's like, oh, hang on, you stole, and you're trying to say, oh, they're transphobic to you.
You're just being an asshole for stealing. It doesn't matter who or what how you identify. Stealing is shit, and you deserve to get punched in the face for it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You deserve the same treatment.
So Mandalorian character driven. It is at the moment, and and I am enjoying it so far. But I don't want to get too into it, because if I do, like I said, I have bad thoughts of Disney hurting me again. I suffered when I suffered. Well, this is it. I'm a fan of The Highlander, right? That movie series. It's kind of like the second movie onwards just hurts me a little bit more each time, because it's kind of like, because it's like, you know what? It's like the first movie, absolute class, absolute genius, loved it. So what we're going to do for a second film where we can't really bring more immortals into it because they're all gone, and that was the whole point of it. We need to do something about the origin of them, and it's going to be really out there. It's like, okay, yeah, what are they? They're all aliens from another planet. And it's like, okay. So he's not really a Highlander then, is he?
No, it's not the same person then, is it? You know what I mean?
No, it's all, oh God.
Blue Bonnet, no worries. Oh, okay, cool. I'm not the only one. Yeah. Paul said, hang on, let's go through. Daniel, Star Wars is out of chances with me. Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi were a disgrace. Yeah, that's the truth of it, really. Especially Last Jedi just pissed all over the character of Luke Skywalker, and then Rise of Skywalker pissed all over the legacy of Anakin Skywalker. So it wasn't really the rise of Skywalker; it was just like the rise of someone no one cares about, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's like the Highlander. Now I'm thinking about Highlander. It's kind of like I actually watched the Highlander. If you follow the Highlander, like the movies, the TV movies as well, because apparently it's all canon with itself. It's kind of like they have two apocalypses.
Yeah.
So God knows what happens and how that's going to work, but what is it? I can't start thinking about it, because if I start thinking about it, it's going to
too late. Then you're going to go into full on nerd rage. This is what this stream's about, though, Jack. We can full on nerd rage to our heart's content.
If I can't nerd rage, not properly, because I am presenting a public front. I want to.
Bollocks. Who cares?
Kind of, oh my god.
Rise of Super Ray, says Paul. Yeah, exactly. It's just like.
What would you prefer to do? Watch all Chibnall episodes of Doctor Who and Torchwood back to back forever? If I had to pick either him or showrunner is. I'd say I have him as showrunner forever, because he's not the only one writing, which means you've got chances of other people putting in other episodes that might be watchable. If you're just constantly watching the Chibnall episodes of Doctor Who and Torchwood again and again and again, that will just drive you mad.
Yeah, but Jack, the difference is though, this is where I have to fundamentally disagree with you, because at least the Chibnall episodes of Doctor Who had the actual Doctor in them, not cosplay Doctor. Do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas watching him as showrunner for the rest of the time means we're going to get more Jodie shit and more people like Jodie and more crap like The Timeless Child. So to Angry Pacifist, my answer is I'd watch all the Chibnall episodes of Doctor Who, because at least they've got David Tennant and Matt Smith in them, and Torchwood, because Torchwood was actually pretty good. I'm not saying he was very good as a writer for Torchwood, but at least I can enjoy the characters in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Oh.
Are you going to rethink your statement, Jack?
No.
No.
If he's showrunner, okay, let's say he's showrunner forever, right, or at least until he dies of old age or whatever. Assuming nothing bad happens to him, right? Okay, that means he's showrunner until he retires or whatever. Because if he's forever, then we'll take him to the hospital, drain all his blood, and sort all that shit out, get everyone living forever. It'd be amazing. At which point, no one would care. I seem to have lost my point now. I'm thinking Chris Chibnall being tied up in a hospital, being constantly drained of blood.
Well, we've got to think of things to cheer ourselves up, haven't we? So I suppose that's. Yeah,
but no, I'd still say having the showrunner, because that means you can watch any episodes you want, or you just choose not to watch the show and watch something else.
No, but I think
as a showrunner doesn't mean you have to watch them.
I think the hypothetical thing is you have to watch one or the other, and as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I would rather watch, even though they're crap, I'd rather watch the episodes that he's written previously, purely because of the Doctors that are in them. That's where the whole thing of like whether you get the argument of would you keep Chibnall or would you keep Jodie, and it's like, I would rather. At least he wrote. At least the Doctors that were in his previous episodes sort of carried those episodes, whereas he's bad and she's bad, so it's a bad combination either way.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a good question. Who would you rather have, Chibnall or Jodie?
Jodie would have to go away for a long time and watch more episodes of Doctor Who, as in actual Doctor
Who.
Yeah. And so, for example, if Stephen Moffat or Russell T Davies wrote Jodie, then I could kind of get on with that, because they wouldn't write her like a complete moron. Whereas Chibnall seems to write her like a complete moron. Yeah. Even though she acts like a complete moron.
Give Jodie something competent to do, and I'm pretty sure she could pull it off. Yeah.
I mean, she's
hashtag constipated.
Constipated scrunch face. Yes, Daniel. You know it. Yeah. Basically summed it up. Chibs can't write. I don't see the point. No. They both need to go. Ideally, they both need to fuck right off. And if we were with a gun pointed to one's head in this scenario, I would say get rid of Chibnall, get Moffat or RTD back if she had to stay. But ideally they both piss off.
You don't even need to bring RTD or Moffat back. You could. There are talented writers out there. They're a competent. You just need a competent writer or a competent showrunner, because they don't necessarily have to do everything. That's what you need. You bring someone competent in to write. You could probably salvage Jodie a bit, not much, because she's not that great an actress. But yeah.
Paul says, pull the trigger. I can't take either. I'd rather a hole in my head than have to put up with that, to be honest.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen The Witcher. The Witcher was good. It took me a moment to work out what it was doing as a show because it kind of jumped around.
I love The Witcher. Yeah.
But once I got my head around it, I was like,
but
I was.
Sorry, go on, Jack.
I was gonna say no. Yeah, as soon as I got my head around the timeline thing, it was like, okay, it's just kind of like, hang on, you've got the granddaughter there, but she's not been born yet because you're doing it. They don't really advertise it's out of order in terms of how they've got it all cut up.
They don't obviously spoon feed it to you and go like, back in this time, like previously in 1800 and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously that's deliberate.
It's like, as soon as I got my head around, okay, that's what they're doing. It's a little bit weird. It's like, okay, that's fine. I've got my head around it and it was fine. But that's an issue on my part rather than the issue with the show. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, everything from The Witcher, great. Love it. Can't wait for the next series.
Yeah, especially if he's going back to when they go back to Kaer Morhen, when Ciri will actually start training with Geralt. That's when it gets into more like proper Witcher. I know obviously it was proper Witcher in the terms of how it started, but it was based on The Last Wish, which was obviously like the collection of short stories. But then you're getting into the meat and bones of it in the next season. So yeah, more of that would be lovely.
Well, this is it. It's kind of like, it's oh god, it's just reading through some of the comments. It's like, a good actor can make bad writing look better. Yeah, definitely. You look at that first series with David Tennant. Some of the stuff in there is really quite cheesy and a bit weird.
I can't stand series 2. I really, really can't. And that's mainly because it's Rose Tyler for me. It's like, I know we've mentioned this before in our videos, like top 10 worst and stuff and top 10 best, but it's like she goes from being a sort of, she's a little bit annoying, but she's not like a hateful person until she starts actually really, like when she actually starts fancying the Doctor, and then it's like she gets really almost like bunny boy territory with him. And it's like, I don't like the Doctor getting romantic anyway. And then they're pushing this like really poncy couple as just like, and some of the things she says, like, I think it's in the Rise of the Cybermen, and there's a bit where they're all at the dinner party before the Cybermen break in. I can't remember her name, but it's one of the girls serving like drinks and stuff like that, who sort of flirts a little bit with the Doctor, and then obviously he mentions her. I can't remember the exact line, and then Rose goes, "Well, maybe she's a bit thick," and it's like, "Oh, I hate you. You're annoying, a disgusting character." So mainly that. There was a couple of good episodes in it, but yeah, not for me.
But yeah, even then, it's just kind of like David Tennant was just acting his bloody socks off and raised it so much. It's like, yeah.
My opinion on Tennant has flipped. I used to think like he was amazing to start with, then he got annoying as it went on. But now actually watching some of those episodes back, I actually prefer it the other way around now. I think when he first started, he was a bit like, no, I'm the Doctor. It was very, very shouty. As he got into the role, and I think Donna and Martha to begin with, but Donna really actually sort of grounded him a bit, and he wasn't quite as cocky. And then and still cocky, but I mean, like, not quite as much as his first season. I didn't really, looking back on it, I thought as good as an actor David Tennant is, I thought his initial portrayal of the Doctor was just a bit smarmy for me.
That's fair enough. Fair point. Top 5 monsters: 1 Daleks, 2 Cybermen, 3 Ice Warriors, 4 Zygons, 5 Weeping Angels.
That's a bad shout.
It's not a bad shout. However, for my personal preference, I'd have Cybermen over Daleks. I'd keep Ice Warriors. I would probably drop Zygons for Sontarans, and personal preference, but I would probably drop Weeping Angels for Sea Devils. But that's just because nostalgia on that one, really, pure and simple. Yeah. When I was just want to keep Weeping Angels instead of that.
Are we talking? If we're talking just villains in general, or like groups of recurring villains, or just villains in general?
But
If that's the case, I would say number one, Cybermen, but classic Cybermen, not the crap they've been doing with the new series.
Not the Cybers. Not Cybers.
Yeah, and Cyber Pollen. Ugh. And the new shit they did, Cyber Lords. That's why I hate those episodes so much, because I love Cybermen so much, proper Cybermen.
Yeah.
So the new series ones are just like, oh god, stompy robot crap. That's my technical term for it, folks. I would say, yeah, Cybermen number one, Daleks number two. I would go Sontarans number three. 4 Ice Warriors, and then 5. If I'm going to have to include, let's say we include a new series in there.
Up to you.
Probably the Silence, actually. Weeping Angels are great, but I think they're a little bit overrated. Whereas I think the Silence, the concept of them, was just like you can't. They're weird aliens you can't remember seeing, and then you have to. And then every time you see them, it's like a new experience, and the whole sort of post-hypnotic suggestion sort of thing I really liked. So yeah, those would be my top 5, like groups of villains. If we're going for like just villains in general, number 1 would be Sutekh, number 2 the Master, number 3 maybe Omega or the Meddling Monk. They're quite close for me. Number 4, I would say, I actually, he's a bit silly, but I did like the Celestial Toymaker. It was quite cheesy, but I thought it was quite fun. And then 5, Rassilon. Yeah, probably Rassilon, I would say, in terms of it.
Classic Rassilon.
So he's not technically a villain, but he's villainous. You know what I mean?
He's an antagonist.
Yeah.
He's an antagonist. Not a villain, but an antagonist. It's a bit of a difference, so it will work.
Fulbright says classic Cybermen were proper bad guys. Cyborgs, not the stompy, wumpy robots. Yeah, exactly. That's what made the Cybermen so scary in the classic series, because obviously they were humanoid, but you wouldn't really see them coming. They just sort of jump around corners and be quite sinister and just sort of pull you away. And then they just made them really just robots. Bum 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 bum. Do you know what, Paul? Actually, he's just mentioned, how do you guys like the Rani? I actually think she's underrated. I think the stories she was in were a bit, but as a character, basically being like a sort of a genetic scientist mastermind who was arguably cleverer than both the Doctor and the Master. I think they could probably have used her. I still don't get why they haven't used her in the new series. Maybe they think, only 2 stories, not worth it. But that's why I kind of hoped the Missy would have been the Rani instead of the Master, because to me Missy felt more like the Rani than the Master.
Well, in my opinion. Go for it. I liked the Rani. I never thought she was that big a threat, though. I never really thought her as a threat in the same way.
No, she was a classy woman.
Yeah. Oh, of course she was. But I never really thought her as that significant a threat, you know. And it's kind of like, you know, you got when you had the Master running around coming up with evil plans. It's like, okay, I'd buy that he's going to try and do something, whatever. You know, even when you got to, like, you know, Missy, and it's kind of like, okay, you've got a bit of a plan. I can buy that you're going to do something weird, but I just.
But even the sort of stuff that Missy did, like with, as much as I didn't like the whole sort of Cyber Pollen playing with the dead kind of thing, that's kind of something the Rani would do. She would be more in that kind of sort of bodily experimentation, which I thought suited the Rani more than something the Master would do. The Master would just, you know, he'd have a plan and then he'd get someone else to sort of do his dirty, to hypnotize people and get him to do his dirty work for him. But that's just how he worked quite well. But I did like the character of the Rani myself.
That's it. I mean, if the show hadn't taken its bit of a nosedive, I'd have said that what, bringing back the Rani would probably be a good idea. But right now, no, it's going to be.
I mean, I don't think they will. They've had 12 seasons now to do it, and they still haven't. I just can't see them doing it. Personally, I think they'll just stick with the Master as like the other renegade Time Lord.
Well, yeah. Now that they've established that Time Lords can change gender and do whatever, yeah, it's just they'll just do what they want with it.
Or they'll probably make the Rani a bloke. Just like, we can do it that way round. Let's do it the other way around instead. Doesn't make it any more annoying, though. Less annoying, I should say.
I'm going to have to go AFK for a moment. I'll be back in a sec. I've got a message from the missus. I just need to quickly go sort that. I'll be back in one moment, okay?
Alrighty then. Right. Paul says Michelle Gomez should have been the Rani and not the Master. Yeah, exactly. That's it. It was the whole kind of the sort of the psycho Mary Poppins style of the way that she did. And like I said, with the whole sort of, she was doing like experiments with the dead and things like that, kind of had more of a Rani feel for me. Or they could have just made her an entirely new character, but they couldn't help themselves, could they? The seeds were well and truly planted by then. Daniel says, I hate the stompy sound. Yeah. Even in World Enough in Time, with the Mondasian Cybermen, however they pronounce it, they still had them stomp. It's like, why? They're the most human of all the Cybermen, and yet you're still having them stomp around like robots. It's just like, for fuck's sake, ridiculous. Paul, evil Time Lords basically trump any bad guy. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they're definitely the most intriguing villains, because it's like we've spent this whole time following the Doctor as the hero of this show, and then you get an evil version. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. As in, like, Sherlock and Moriarty, which was the whole reason for the Master being introduced in the first place. They wanted him to be the sort of Moriarty character, and then you add a few more in there, like Rassilon and Omega and Rani, and they haven't really explored that enough for me. It's always been the Doctor and the Master, the Doctor and the Master, the Doctor and the Master. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but there are other ones out there. Okay, they had Rassilon a couple of times in the new series, but not as like it was more just sort of like he was like the final boss rather than like, a decent villain. That makes sense. JNT slow killed my favorite show. Yeah. I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall there for a few years. It got very cartoonish in his era, didn't it? I'm not saying that Doctor Who in general didn't have some silly moments, but yeah, he didn't seem to be embarrassed by Doctor Who like Chibnall is. It seems to be quite evident with him, but yeah, he kind of had that effect towards the end. Daniel, what do you think of the Valeyard? I love the Valeyard. I love the idea of the Valeyard, and again, I think it's something that hasn't been explored enough, because you think an evil version of the Doctor. Oh, it's just the Master. No. The Master is just an evil Time Lord who hates the Doctor. The Valeyard is the Doctor. It's just an evil version of him, and it's like they kind of, I think they hinted at it with the Meta Crisis Doctor, didn't they? Because it was like, oh, you've committed genocide, so you can't be trusted. So they sort of hinted at it there, and then obviously with the Dream Lord, it was like, oh, well, that's definitely the Valeyard then. Surely he's like the darkest emotions of the Doctor. Like, no one in the universe hates me more than you do. It's like, why don't you do that? Yeah, I kind of had like a faint hope that Jodie would end up being the Valeyard, and Peter Capaldi would just turn up and be like, me again, eh? But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But never mind, eh? Never mind. Paul, classic Cybermen were cyborgs, not robots. They talk normally, move slow, but were normal. Yeah, exactly. Again, that's another thing I didn't like about the new Cybermen, because it's like, oh, they're basically just a brain in a metal suit, but it's like, but no, that's not what. Okay, there are parallel versions, so they're not exactly the same, but you don't just take a brain out of a human being, put it in a suit, and call it a Cyberman. That's just not what a Cyberman is. A Cyberman is like a slowly augmented human being that has gradually augmented more and more of itself until it becomes more cyborg than human, which is the whole point of them. Welcome back, Jack.
Hey Sean, sorry, I'm just getting the camera leveled off.
Yeah, no worries. I've just been rambling for a few minutes before you've been away.
That's talking about catch up.
The Valiard. What do you think of the Valiard, Jack? Daniel asks.
I think the Valiard was a great. I thought the Valiard was a great idea, and I'm actually really annoyed that they haven't done anything with it since.
I was just saying the same. Yeah.
It's like the thing is, they're clearly aware of it because the name gets thrown around every now and again.
So it was mentioned. The Great Intelligence mentioned the Valiard as well, didn't they? Yeah, I forgot about that bit.
Yeah. That's it. It's kind of like, so they're clearly aware, but it's like, okay, so why aren't you doing anything with him? It's, you know, you want to have David Tennant come back for like your 60th anniversary or whatever. If he comes back, come back and play the Valiard or something. It's like, and then boom, there you go. Makes sense. But yeah.
I was just saying to the guys, it's like they sort of hinted at it with the Metacrisis Doctor, didn't they? Because it was like, oh, you can't be trusted. You committed genocide, or you were willing to commit genocide, and then obviously with the Dream Lord, that was basically the Valiard. Even though Moffat was like, no, it's not, but clearly it was, just done slightly differently.
Yeah. Well, this is it. The thing is, though, it still fits for everything that we know about it. It's like in between the last regenerations of the Doctor. There we go. And so, oh, this would have been the last regenerations of the Doctor. Obviously, he got a new set and everything, but it's like, you know what?
Well, it was somewhere between its 12th and final regeneration. Yeah. So that could be... Matrix Lord makes a good point with this, actually. He says, that could be like Doctor 250. So I suppose they've got that kind of leeway of... But now with what Chris Chibnall's done, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, no.
Well, then it's, at this point, if it's between the 12th and final regeneration, then what, they had eight kids that the tetanus was killing, whatever the hell.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, well, between which 12th regeneration and which final regeneration is it going to be now? We don't know anymore because he's fucked it all up.
Yeah. This is it. It's just, you know what? I'm going to say one of those kids is the Valiard because it got very angry, and that's where the whole thing is.
The little black baby girl, as I said.
Little black baby girl.
That's really the Valiard. Yeah. We'll probably get a strike for saying that. But, you know, it's true though, isn't it? It's like, it's just totally unnecessary.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Valiard Daniel.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, dear. Yeah. Right. Okay. Just thinking of what. Shit. Did you drop that?
Any other questions, guys, you want to put to us about anything? Can be Doctor Who related, non-Doctor Who related? Anything you want to see from us in the future? Less videos.
Well, we'll do a video once every 2 months. I think that's.
Well, like I said, we'll probably end up doing more than that now that we're in lockdown, because this has actually been quite fun so far.
Yeah, quite fun. I've had the time of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, this has actually been very fun. Sort of like talking to you guys. It's kind of like, it's one thing to kind of go through the comments and have a quick read of them and everything and see what's good and what's bad, but it's actually being able to sort of like communicate like this. It's kind of like, you know what, this is actually really good. This is very enjoyable.
Yeah, because normally, obviously, when we record, we just we have ourselves to bounce off of at the time, and then obviously with the comments afterwards. But I'm surprised we haven't done this before, to be honest. But then I suppose we had 30 subscribers for a long time, so probably don't bother to watch it. But the important people are watching now, and that's all that matters, as far as I'm concerned.
See, we probably said this as an idea before in the past, but then completely forgot, because I'm sure you probably noticed we're not exactly sober in some of these videos. So
that's the whole appeal of it, isn't it, Jack? Hey, cheers.
Hey.
Clink. That way. Cheers.
The section's completely gone out the window.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
So,
Well,
question to the chat.
Hmm.
Will you be watching the Christmas special? It's probably a stupid question, but yeah, I thought I'd ask it anyway. I'll ask you, Jack. Will you be watching it?
Well, first of all, I won't be watching a Christmas special because it's going to be coming out on New Year's, Sean. What's wrong with you?
Apparently this time it will be on Christmas Day. Apparently that's been something that they've had to do because it's in the can, so they've got no excuse to not put it on Christmas Day. They've already filmed it, so it's like if they don't put it on at Christmas Day, then you know
it's
really
kind of
don't
like, okay. That's it. Yeah, I think I will probably end up watching it. Actually, I'm at the missus's for Christmas this year, so I probably won't be watching it on the day.
Yeah.
But I will probably end up watching it because part of it is hate watching. The second part of it is I hate myself, and I need this
self-deprecation.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like that priest from the Da Vinci Code who whips himself, and it's just like,
oh yeah, sadomasochism.
Like, yeah, it's kind of at this point, it's like the sad thing is if I'm being really honest though, the main reason I'd probably end up watching it is so I can talk to you about it when we make videos.
Yeah, this is the thing.
One of us will need to have watched it to know what's happened in it.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I ended up watching any of I actually watched more of series 12, as you know, than I did series 11 because I knew more stuff was happening with series 12, and so I thought, let's see what happens here, and then obviously all of our worst fears were confirmed. So then, if we didn't make that video, then we would have just faded into obscurity even more so. So in a way, it kind of helps us to watch it. But no, I think I'm going to do what Mel suggested the other night at one of his streams. It's like, rather than watch that Christmas special, just watch another Christmas special. Not that, I mean, let's be honest, Christmas specials in general are a bit crap. However, at least, like I said before, with who would you rather have Stephen or Wright for another Doctor? It's like, I'd rather watch a Doctor I like in a Christmas special that's shit than watch a shit Christmas special of a Doctor I don't like and a writer that I don't like.
Okay, so then what would be the Christmas special that you'd end up watching?
Ooh, I would say probably Voyager Damned. I didn't really like any of Matt Smith's Christmas specials. I know that sounds bad because I really like Matt Smith, but I mean, okay, let's go. I mean, the Snowman was okay, but okay, you had the Doctor, the Widow, and Wardrobe, which was about trees, and then you had the one before, which was
the Christmas
Carol, which was about a flying shark. That was just bad.
No, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you there. It's kind of if you're gonna do a Christmas special, you might as well plagiarize, the most famous Christmas story of all time, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. You might as well just plagiarize that, which is basically what they did. They just added a flying shark and flying fish, and that was
but it was stupid, man. It was retarded. It really was bad.
Stupid. You're stupid.
Yeah, that's what it's come to now. I'm gonna put my camera on to do this.
Oh, Sean, you just swore at the audience putting your finger up like that. That's very.
No, I swore at you. That's the difference. Daniel says, "Nope, I would rather be shot in the face." Yeah, exactly. Then watch.
Please don't get shot in the face, Daniel, because you're very nice, and I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
You're our best friend, man. We don't. we need you. You're the man.
Yeah,
we will do that wrestling stream. I know, unfortunately, stuff happened at the time that wasn't ready to do it at that point, but we will definitely do that wrestling stream, especially now that WWE's gone really weird with filming in front of no audience. So it'd be nice to sort of talk to you about that. But anyway, I digress. I need to visit the little boy's room, so bear with me. Okay. Keep him entertained.
No, Santa Claus and the TARDIS. Yes, I will agree with you on that. I think that would have been a very good point for Clara to go, because it basically was built. It kind of felt like it was built to be her last episode, and if that had been the way they'd ended it, it would have been nigh on perfect. But no, I have a soft spot for the Christmas specials for Doctor Who, and I say that, and yes, I fully appreciate that all of them, to varying degrees, are a little bit naff, but I generally tend to cut them a bit more slack because they're Christmas specials. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be something that is meant to be a little bit more fun. You can play with the rules of what makes good or bad Doctor Who, and in theory, as long as you're doing it well, it's okay. So yeah, and it's like you've got little moments like, how do you? The Doctor turns around to Santa Claus, like, how do you fit everything in the sack? How do you fit all the toys in the sack? It's like, it's bigger on the inside. Yeah. Yes, the episode of Captain Mysterio, the Christmas special Captain Mysterio, is utter filth. That's on my list of hated episodes, because it basically creates the ultimate plot hole of, now every time something bad happens in the world over and that guy isn't there to stop it, you've basically shot yourself in the foot. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, what happened afterwards? I had that, the pyramid, alien monks invading. It's like, well, you.
Oh yeah, it's law breaking for you, wasn't it? Yeah, I can understand that.
If we had a great, it'd be great if we had like a Superman-esque superpowered person here to help us right now. Where's that guy gone? But oh well. But no, it's like, the thing is,
but your Husbands of River Song was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's kind of like I said, I've got, like I was saying while you were in the little boys' room.
Urinating.
Yep. I have a soft spot for the Christmas specials, because all of them are just, you can play with the rules of what you should and shouldn't do, because it's meant to be just a bit more fun. Now, obviously, that doesn't excuse them from being. Yeah, it doesn't excuse them from being bad, not at all. As you're saying, the return of Captain Mysterio was.
Doctor Mysterio. I've done it again. Sorry, Jack. There's always one video where I correct you on it. I'm sorry. I should have just let it slide.
Mate, it's fine. I don't care. I'd rather be corrected now. I would rather be corrected now than with yourself, and so we can all be honest and fun with it. Rather than
it is Doctor Mysterio. I just did that to wind you up.
Yeah. Damn it, Sean! Don't call me out on this.
Yeah, Paul says the alien monks were a cheap copy of the science. Yeah, exactly. That's basically what they were, because it was like basically a stealth invasion of a strange alien force that no one could really see or reason with. And it's like Moffat was just basically, he was ripping himself off, which he did quite a bit, didn't he? Let's not beat around the bush. He kind of ripped himself off a few times.
Well, this is it. That was the whole thing that kind of bothered me about what was it? The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the. That wasn't Day of the Moon. What's the second part of that one called?
Yeah, Day of the Moon.
Day of the Moon. It was Day of the Moon. For some reason, I thought Day of the Moon was that one with the moon turning out to be an egg or whatever the hell.
That was Kill the Moon.
That's Kill the Moon.
Yeah, one of those shit.
It's kind of like the only thing.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's kind of like. I was going to say, it's kind of like the Silents weren't really invading in that. They were just there. And it's kind of like, obviously you understand it when you see everything. It's like they're basically, I'm assuming they were guarding like Child River Song.
Well, it was that particular faction that we found out later on were part of the movement to kill the Doctor. Whereas in reality, like most of them are actually just like priests. But I didn't like the fact that they went on that. I quite like the idea of the whole race themselves being who they were originally.
Yeah. Well, the idea behind them was very good, and I really like that.
Yeah, like I said before, the concept of them I thought was fascinating.
It's like memory proof, I think, was what they said, wasn't it? Well, it's a really good idea. Moffat is a hack, and he said it himself that he's a hack, and I think he was trying to joke at the time, but it's like, mate, you've gone to like how many countries is he self-coupling to?
Yeah. I watched that recently. It is actually funny. I mean, it's a bit dated, but it is like it proves that he can do comedy quite well. But
yeah, I mean, it's very dated, as you say. But you know what? I enjoy it well enough, and there's some episodes that are very clever and some that are a bit pants. But
yeah,
it's just like, oh, come on, mate, you're still a bit of a hack if you're still trying to ride the coattails of a TV show from what, late 90s, early 2000s. It's like, no, it's.
But Paul's gone on to say that he's a much better hack than Chibs. Yeah. At least Stephen Moffat knew what Doctor Who was. You know what I mean? Oh, he was a bit convoluted with it, but he knew the essence of Doctor Who. Whereas Chibnall sort of masquerades as knowing what the essence of Doctor Who is, but he really doesn't, because it comes across like he hates it and he wanted to change it forever, and that's what he's done. I've decanonized what he's done in my head because it's shit. Mark Gatiss is the magic in that secret sauce. Yeah, and again, Mark Gatiss is a proper Doctor Who fan. So, and he basically sort of reined Moffat in a bit in certain regards, especially in Sherlock, because people go, "Oh, it's Stephen Moffat." Well, I think Mark Gatiss again had equal measure in that show.
Yeah. Runaway Bride was a good Christmas special because it was just that felt just like a normal one-off episode of Doctor Who that just happened to be set at Christmas.
Yeah, and I think that's what they need to do more of. Just
that's what they need to do more of.
On Christmas Day. It doesn't necessarily have to have a Christmas theme.
Well, this is it. It's kind of like you had that one, Planet of the Dead, that was meant to be an Easter episode of Doctor Who for all things. And I think the only Easter reference. Oh yeah, it's why it's on my list of hated episodes. It's just like the only reason. But the thing is, the only thing about it that was Easter related is at the beginning is he's eating a bit of Easter egg, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's like that's all we really need. It's like you have some Christmas decorations in the background, and boom, the rest of the episode just happens as normal. There you go. But yeah, Runaway Bride was good. I enjoyed that. So no, not going to rip you to shreds, Daniel. And yes, the Matt Smith story on Trenzor was a Christmas story as well.
Daniel, if your favourite Christmas special was the Doctor, the Widow, or Wardrobe, then then maybe I would have ripped you to shreds. But no, Runaway Bride is good. It's a good story, man. We've got it from Anthony Davis. Do you agree that Bonnie Langford was only given the role because of stunt casting? Probably. I mean, Mel was more of was one of the screamers, wasn't she? She really was, and I think it probably had a lot to do with that.
Well, this is it. I mean, you kind of need someone who can scream, especially in a show that's going to have various horror elements every now and again. Yeah, it's like horror in a early evening, family friendly kind of way, but you still need to have someone who can do the whole scream at the camera thing, and have it be convincing,
Yeah, I think that was definitely stunt casting, for sure.
Yeah.
Paul says, Chibs Who is for millennials, SJW, radical feminists, and rainbow people. That's not hate speech, that's just an objective observation. Yeah, it's true. Pointing out the obvious doesn't make sexist, racist, or anything. Oh, yeah, this is it. And this is the problem that these types of people have. It's like, and this was even before like Jodie started. It was like when we talked about on our video, Jodie Whittaker is the 13th to Yale Nay. Another cheap plug. We even said this. We were just like, you can't even have any reservations about her casting without being labelled something.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, hang on. If it was a case of if like a really, really crap, if like Joey Essex was cast as a Doctor, for example, for our American fans, he's basically a reality TV star. So if he had been cast as a Doctor,
in inverted commas,
I would have had the same reservations. Do you know what I mean? And it's like with Jodie Whittaker, it was like, anything I've seen her in doesn't shout Doctor to me, Whereas like Peter Capaldi, when he was announced, I was like, he is a fantastic actor, and he's got gravitas, and he's got command, which is what you need for the Doctor. You don't need some idiot just going, yeah, I'm the Doctor. Yeah, it's like, no, you're not. You're just not really.
Hashtag chronic scrunch face, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This is it. I mean, it's like, I think we came up with various suggestions of actresses. If you had to go down the lady route of various actresses who could have done it and would have been fine. There's ones you could have picked if you wanted a better choice.
There's actresses out there that are far superior to Jodie Whittaker. Far superior.
Oh, loads. Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't even okay. I still think, personally, I've always the Doctor should be a male because he's a male Time Lord. Well, not anymore, according to Chris Chibnall. But you know,
Black Baby Girl,
before then, you had female Time Lords and you had male Time Lords. Romano was a female Time Lord. The Doctor is a male Time Lord. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, let's not go down that rabbit hole again. We've been going down it for the last 3 years. Just fucking, banging one's head against a brick wall. Daniel says, to be fair, even Mel has improved on Big Finish. Well, yeah, I'm not surprised because they actually have decent writers on Big Finish. If she was brought in this era, she would just be a pain in the ass.
Listen, none of the characters are intrinsically bad. Even Adric, for as bad as he was, isn't horrendous. You just got to have the right writing behind it and use the character the right way, And I think that's the biggest problem here. You look at let's use a modern example. Let's use Donna Noble. It's kind of
Paul's actually saying that now.
Yeah, it's like intrinsically that character. Yeah, she was. See Paul's comment there. So she was. Yeah, she
I'm
was
just a temp boy, spaceman, boy. That sort of thing I didn't like because she was bringing out her kind of like her comedy role thing. Whereas when when she was serious and when she was upset, it was like, okay, yeah, she can act quite well. When you had a memory wipe, she was like, I want this. I want to travel with you forever. That was cool, but it was just I'm not your mate. It was things like that. Like, even though I'm glad they went down the route of a platonic relationship, she was still a bit irritating for me.
Yeah, the thing is, this comes down to the writing because, as you said, there's some stuff that she did that was great, and it's kind of like the rest of it was a bit shit. I think any of the characters could have been bad. Technically, we're all millennials because I think it's 80s to 2000, early 2000s. If you're born in that period, you're a millennial.
Daniel, don't worry, mate. You are wise beyond your years, sir. So I don't even class you as a millennial, even though you fit into that category. But fuck categories. It's just if you're a decent person and you know what you like and it's not shit, then that's all that matters really. But you could save a lot of these companions with just better writing, and that's not the actress's fault. That's not even the character's fault. I think it's just the execution of what they wanted them to do, and that comes down to the writing, and that's the biggest problem. I think that's the biggest problem in a lot of these things. And even though you take something like what's one of the most hated things on TV at the moment? Batwoman. Batwoman. Batwoman, as Bolstrom would say. Yeah. I just can't be asked with that. I saw the trailer and I was like, nope. I'm not even going to hate watch it. I'm just not going to watch it at all.
This is it. It's kind of like the Batwoman character when presented in I think it's called Mystery of the Batwoman. It's an animated series movie.
Actual Batwoman. Yeah.
Actual Batwoman. It's kind of like it's quite interesting, and it's woman who runs around with guns shooting criminals and stuff. It's quite good. And it's kind of like the whole mystery. There was a bit of a mystery behind it, but you know what? We won't go too much into that because we're not talking about Batman just yet. But the point is, you can take that character, make it interesting, and do it really well because that's what they did with that animated movie.
Yeah, without slagging off Batman all the time,
Yeah. Oh God. Did you see the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing that they had that linked in with?
No, but I watched Tharias Unlimited's review of it because I just thought didn't they like rope Kevin Conroy into that shit?
Yes. They got Kevin Conroy, arguably the most famous,
and then they killed him off as well. They made him a villain, didn't they? Well. Oh, fuck off!
I know, it's like, oh no, I have to kill you now, and it's like, mate, you're an old man in a robot suit, but you're still Batman because you're
more definitively Batman than most people who have played him on screen, on the silver screen are, as far as I'm concerned. It's like Mark Hamill is the Joker. For me, it's like he is the definitive Joker.
But this is it. And the thing is, technically, Kevin Conroy is a big screen Batman because what was it? Mask of the Phantasm was shown in cinemas.
Oh, technically, it was live action. Then is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I if anyone asks me who's your favorite cinema Batman, I get to say Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. Yeah, technically, you're not wrong in that assessment.
I'm not wrong. Like, who's your favorite big screen Joker? Oh, well, then it has to be Mark Hamill because
Mark Hamill.
He was in that movie as well.
Exactly. Paul Bryant says women like Donna because she was argumentative and bitchy and whiny. Yeah, basically.
Not going to disagree with you on any of that. Absolutely correct. It's all,
And Paul also says, Sean, I've tried to watch Batwoman. I can't get past 5 minutes. It's so bad. Bad writing, bad acting, characters and plot lines. Yeah. See, it's not a good recipe for entertainment, is it?
No. The interesting thing is the actress who plays Batwoman, Ruby Rose, she was in John Wick 2.
Was she?
Yeah, she was.
Didn't we do like a drunken thing of that? That's probably why I don't remember.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you don't remember her, don't worry. It's not that you blinked and missed it. She's in the film relatively frequently. She is the assistant of the person who's the main bad guy.
Oh, that's her.
So she has no speaking lines. She does sign language.
Yeah.
Act for shit.
Yeah, she can't because she's not even an actress. She's a model, isn't she? Like Gal Gadot was a model, but at least she's not too bad an actress now. But they just basically cast Ruby Rose for her looks. Essentially, that's all they did. That's basically what it was. Even though it's a bit strange because she's behind a mask most of the time, so it's like, what's the point? Just get someone who's actually good.
Yeah, that's it. As we've kind of said, I think we've said this before, and I know Paul said this in the chat this evening, and I think everyone would kind of agree with this. It's always a good idea to watch something before. It's always a good idea to try something before you make an opinion on it, right?
Oh, of course,
of like, we said ourselves in several videos that we were going to watch at least 3 episodes of Jodie's Doctor just to see if it was good or not.
Well, that tends to be the sort of ballpark figure for most series in general, but also for Doctor Who. I've found it's like if you're not engaged with that Doctor after 3 episodes, then it's. But generally speaking, most of the Doctors you get engaged with them before then, and after 3 episodes of any TV show, if you're still like, then it's a bit like. With scientifically with the human attention span, you have to get them relatively quickly, or that's it. You've lost viewers. You know what I mean?
That's it. And it just goes to show that people are trying to watch Batwoman and they're not getting very far into one episode. It's kind of like, you know what? Yeah. I was able to stick it through the whole of the first episode.
So you actually watched it?
That's it. Just the first episode.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. It's just kind of like, no, I'm not going back to that. And the only reason I watched it was, one, I had heard it was a bit of a train wreck. So it's like, you've got to see this for yourself because sometimes you have to.
Just for pure morbid curiosity. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, priest guy from Da Vinci Code whipping himself, putting that spiky thing on his leg. That's where I am. I know he's got an actual name, and I know the religious thing has an actual name as well, but I can't remember either of that. But
it's fair enough.
It's just. But the other thing is, I used to actually enjoy watching The Flash as a TV show. I started watching series 3 is when I stopped.
Yeah.
but I was enjoying it well enough up to that point. And if it's on the TV, I'll watch it, but I won't I don't go into trying to find it like I did. I didn't make a point of watching it like I did with a few other things. But
yeah,
that's why I kind of thought I'd give it a go, because it's like, you know what,
you can only really give these, like Paul said earlier with Picard. I suppose it's like you really have to make your own mind up about these things at the end of the day. No matter how many people who you usually agree with say it's shit, you still have to you have to make your own mind up. So it's only fair that you do that, really, in general.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only counter argument to that would be, it's kind of, if so many people say something is bad.
Well, yeah, this is it.
And they are people that you trust. It's kind of like,
yeah.
In theory, how it would work with critics is that, you've got so many critics out there. Once you find, like, say 3 or 4 that you trust because they've got similar opinions to you in terms of what you like and dislike, if those ones that you trust turn around and say, like, nah, this is a bit crap, then you get a good idea. Or if they turn around and say, no, it's not great, but it's good, or you might well enjoy it, then, or if they say, oh, fantastic, then you have an idea for it. But...
yeah.
Oh, dear.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Daniel says, I tried to watch Batwoman, the first episode, can't finish it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. Paul says, Kevin Conroy has played Batman longer than any actor. Indeed. Played more roles and stories of Batman than any actor. Indeed. Even voiced video games, he's the definitive voice of Batman. 100%. 100%. And that's why, like, after hearing what happened to him in Batwoman, it's like, fuck that show. Fuck it. Not interested.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's kind of, Kevin Conroy, it's like, the animated series for Batman is how I like to believe Batman's life actually went,
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, it starts off, you get the animated series, then you get the movies, and then you go into Batman of the Future, or Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
And you've got, like, grizzled old man Bruce Wayne, who's training Terry McGinnis as his protege to be the new Batman. It's like, yeah. It's kind of like, and
that's the sort of natural progression of how that character would go as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and he's just like, he's still, even when he's like old, even get to like Return of the Joker movie, at the end of that, he's like, actually no, it's not even that. It's the Justice League Unlimited TV series, the last episode of that.
Oh yes.
We got like really, really old Bruce Wayne, and it's like, oh my god, it's like, even then, like, he's having a heart. Yeah, he's ancient. He's having a heart attack in the Batcave, and he just lives. He just walks it off afterwards. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman. And Kevin Conroy was the first one to do the famous speech. It's like, I am the darkness, I'm Batman. I think he was the first one to make that speech. So it's like, yeah.
And also, if it wasn't for the Batman animated series, you wouldn't have Harley Quinn. You know what I mean? Am I correct in saying that that was a original creation from them?
Original creation for them. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she's one of those rare things where it's kind of like it transfers from an animated TV show or an offshoot, not fan created, but effectively not original creator created creation, into the original comics and stuff. So it's like, yeah, correct. If it works, it works. But now they keep trying to make Harley Quinn this all like, oh yeah, I'm not a villain really, and it's like, well, no, you are, and that's kind of the whole point.
You're not a good person, and I can understand them doing things like, okay, it's like an anti-hero character, but and they don't want it to be like, they don't want her to have to rely on a man because she's essentially Joker's psychic. That's basically that's essentially what she is.
That's what she is.
And now it's like, oh no, we have to have her on her own without Joker. She don't need Joker. And it's like, yeah, but the dynamic, that's the fundamental dynamic between the two of them. And if you get rid of that, then it doesn't work as well.
No. Well, this is it. It's kind of, Birds of Prey. Haven't seen it yet. Probably won't unless it comes up on like Netflix or something. I can watch it from there.
Oh yeah, it'll be one of those things. It'll just be like, I'm not paying to watch that shit.
No, but it's like if they're going to try and make Harley Quinn other than the one-note character that she is, it's kind of like you're going to do it wrong. Because
I mean, don't get me wrong, Margot Robbie did a good job. Like she got the accent right. She got the mannerisms right. In Suicide Squad, she was like the only sort of shining beacon, and that's not like going on about her looks or anything. She generally played that role very well. But from what I've seen for Birds of Prey, it's just it's a shell of that character, because the character she's playing in Suicide Squad is Harley Quinn, but this is something else. This is just like almost a new character that they've made because of this whole thing of we mustn't let any woman rely on a man. It's like, well, it's the Joker. It's no ordinary man. He's messed up. Yeah. They both are. That's the reason why they're there.
All I can say is I'm fairly glad this new DC universe is going to die its death very soon. They can't do anything with it. It's kind of like the only thing that made any money was Aquaman, which is ironic in itself. James Gunn's going to be directing Suicide Squad 2, so in theory that's going to be all right. I say in theory.
Well, Peter Capaldi's in it. I'll watch it for him. If no one else, I'll watch it for Peter Capaldi. Just because I want to see him on my screen again. So that's literally the only reason I'm going to watch that movie.
You could rewatch Peter Capaldi's first series of Doctor Who. He was also in that, and you can rewatch The Thick of It. Because he's great in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Series 9. I know a lot of people don't like Series 9, but that's a gateway pleasure of mine. I just thought it was, apart from Sleep No More and Hellbent, I thought I like the dynamic, because it was basically pretty much two-parters the whole way through, and I thought, oh, okay, this is a nice, almost like a hark back to the classic series. Okay, obviously that's when the sort of a lot of the woke elements came into it, but at the time I was just enjoying Peter Capaldi be a badass. And he did soften a bit, but not to the extent that he did in Series 10. And that for me is not bad; it's just forgettable. At least in Series 9, you've got Heaven Sent, which is arguably it is my favourite New Who episode. Yeah. And that's just a masterclass in every way.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I think that's one of the things that was kind of missing. It's kind of missing. It's like everything from the last series was all just single part ones. I think, with the exception of Spyfall. But even then, it's like good two-parters, good blah, 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 words.
Scotchio, Chris Waddle.
Chris Waddle. It's like a good cliffhanger every now and again is what you need. It helps the engagement. Just wondering what's going to happen next. It's like,
and you need a bit of breathing space in some of these stories.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like doing with writing some of the stuff for like the whole pitching Doctor Who thing. Yeah, it's kind of like most of these ideas tend to be two-part ones, because I can think of good things like, that would be a fairly good cliffhanger, and it's like, boom, there we go. But it's just kind of like you don't always want just nothing but two-parters, but that's kind of what you want for a good amount of it, because that's where you've got your tension and suspense.
Exactly. Like I said, you can let the story breathe a bit more rather than rushing everything into a 45-minute episode. And that's not even a complaint of Chibnall. That's something the new series in general hasn't quite got right. Okay, they've had a few good two-parters, but there's some standalone stories that could have done with a bit of with a cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. Capaldi is the man. He's awesome.
He is the man. Daniel, I know it's cheesy, but 60s Batman TV series. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with the 60s TV series, man. Adam West, God rest his soul.
Oh dear. Sorry.
Paul says, I have zero desire to see Suicide Squad 2. The first film was trash. True. They gave us the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Ghost from Ghostbusters, for crying out loud. Just taking a piss. You're not entirely wrong there, Paul, to be honest with you. You're not entirely wrong.
This is it. That's the thing. When it comes to the Suicide Squad, the first movie, it's like, okay, we're going to get all these supervillains together because we can use them to fight Superman if he ever goes evil. Okay, but because you brought them all together, one of them goes rogue and evil because, funnily enough, they're all villains. It's in Enchantress. It's like, okay, So
it happens to be
the
Cara Delevingne's character. Why is she the main villain? Yeah. It's like, why are you trying to make this person relevant? Stupid.
If you didn't bring them together in the first place, she wouldn't have gone rogue and evil, which means everyone who died was their fault to begin with. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's just DC trying to like do their own versions of Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, they're not rogues, but do you know what I mean? They're misfits, you know, and which is ironic considering James Gunn is doing the second one. But yeah, everything about the DCEU, and okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Marvel had like a 10-year head start on them in terms of the cinematic universe, because obviously while MCU was going strong, you still had the Nolan verse, so it was like it's the DCEU as itself hadn't even started yet, so they were catching up, and I think the problem was, rather than playing catch up in that way, they should have just done what they did with Joker earlier and just done that. But then obviously it would have been too close to Heath Ledger's Joker, so I think, or even if they'd expanded on the Nolan verse, even though he said he only wanted to do 3 and that was it. I think he only even wanted to do 2 originally and that was it. But because The Dark Knight was so successful, he thought he had to finish it off, sort of thing.
Yeah. What's it? It's like I'd say it's like when you look at when you look at sort of like Heath Ledger's Joker, and then you look at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, it's kind of like, unfortunately for Jared Leto, his Joker did need to be in the middle, because if you went from one Joker to the other, it's kind of like, that would have been a bit too weird. You needed a shit one in the middle, so it would be like, haha, he sucks. Oh look, we've got something good again now.
But yeah, Jared Leto, he was just like, he was the bitch, wasn't he? he was just like
the old cinema.
And the trouble with him as well is that even from the Suicide Squad trailer, it was just like he was doing a Heath Ledger impression, and it's like, no, okay, the look was very different, but his actual voice was just like, no, what are you doing? Play it more like, even if you go back and have to do it like Jack Nicholson, at least you're going back to that kind of gangster style rather than this weird sort of hybrid thing of Heath Ledger and of fucking emo. You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? It's kind of like oh god, it's like, you know, Suicide Squad could have worked if you weren't buying an evil witch. Seriously, if they
didn't have so many bloody reshoots.
If they'd all been brought together to, like, say, fight the Joker, because the Joker's like, I don't know, let's say he's terrorizing a small town or something, and it's like, okay, let's take the Suicide Squad to go and stop Joker and his like small mercenary gang or whatever. Okay, there you go. That's your movie. It makes more sense, and off you go. But Capaldi's performance in Tortured Children of Earth was pure perfection. Yes, it was.
Oh yeah. That whole season was pure perfection. That was just it was so dark, but it was the right kind of dark. You needed that kind of nastiness, because you think of all, like, a bit like the Netflix Marvel shows. You obviously, you're going to have that darkness behind the big glitz and glamour of like the main movie. So when they went as dark as they did in that, it was like, well, yeah, it's not for the Doctor is, you know, this sort of protector of the innocent, and he's very much a hero, and his adventures are very much colourful and expansive. But what about the people living on the streets, and what about if this alien that you can't necessarily put on Doctor Who because it's for kids, but there are going to be sinister aliens out there that are going to be very nasty, and essentially what it was they were using kids for drugs, and it's like, you can't really put that in Doctor Who. But that's the sort of thing that could, if you were to believe the universe as Doctor Who is, you're going to have those nasty sides of it. So that was unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, after seeing Children of Earth and then hearing that Chris Chibnall was going to be the showrunner, that's what I thought we were going to get, something like that, you know, rather than like each episode being a different story. We were going to get one long story across the whole thing, you know. And he did that with Broadchurch. He did that with various things for Torchwood. You would have thought it would have been easy enough to do, but well, No, yeah, Children of Earth was great, and it's kind of, I'd say, I think it was either episode 3 or 4 where you've got like, most of the episode is like the government cabinet sitting around the table talking about how they're going to divide up these children, give it to the aliens, because it's like there's not even any talk about them trying to sort it out. It's a case of like, no, how are we going to work out which children we're going to give the aliens? It's like, okay, and the whole thing is,
was it like the most, what was it, like the best 10%, or was that like the most intelligent ones would be? It's been a while since I've watched it, but it was like the highest performing kids would be spared, and the rest would go, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Like, I probably am. But.
They were like, it's like we've got like the school tables for like how they're performing. So the ones that the schools that aren't doing very well, those kids enjoy it. And it's like, it was getting a. But no, it was such a real conversation that it's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to take a break from watching you now. I'll pause you for a bit and come back.
It's like, it's a bit heavy going to like binge, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is it. It's but yeah, it's a brilliant actor in a bad vehicle, still a bad vehicle. No, that's true. We've seen it before in many shows. We've seen it before in many shows. We've seen it before in many movies and everything. Yeah, they want 10% of all Earth's children, and it's like they were talking about how the government.
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
So
so they had to decide which 10% to give them. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and it's like because they were talking about what they're going to do for like the UK. They weren't bothered about the rest of the world. At least for the purpose of that conversation. But
didn't matter where they came from. That's it. Yeah. You're spot on. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember the sort of the fundamental premise was like, some sinister shit is going on.
Well, this is it. I have to rewatch some of Torchwood because it's kind of like Torchwood was never bad. There were some episodes that were a bit more missed than hit for me, but even then, none of them
was bad. And guess who wrote that one? Dun, 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 dun. Chibnall. But on the whole, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, it speaks volumes of Yanto's character, really, doesn't it? It's like, oh, I love this girl so much that I'm going to try and save her and get her de-Cyberman or de-Cyberwoman.
Careful with your pronouns, Jack.
But then apparently he's going to get into a very passionate homosexual relationship with Captain Jack for a while, and it's like, okay.
Again, careful with your pronouns.
This is it. It's like, I love her so much that I'm going to risk the lives of everyone I care about to try for a chance of saving her. But then it's like, here
I love Captain Jack as well.
Well, we all love John Barrowman. He's great. But then it's like, he's going to go run straight off with the first bloke who flashes his eyes at him, which means he couldn't have loved her that much to begin with. It's the whole thing ridiculous. Flip the table over.
Smash.
I think. Right. Have we got any more topics you want to cover, or how you feeling?
I don't know. I think how long we're going for about 2.5 hours. So I don't know what you want to do. I've run out of beer. Not that means that I can't carry on, but I'm just. I don't know. I think maybe 2.5 hours might be a good place to call
it. I think we're at a stopping point now.
Cool, man.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been in the chat, everyone who's watched.
Guys, for joining us. We really appreciate it. You carry on.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's great to do this, and it's kind of like Sense8 was great.
Yes, it was actually. Yeah. That had Freema in it as well, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So I think what we'll try and have some topics set up for next time.
Yeah, we'll try to be a bit more prepared. This was definitely just like a sort of a test to see how it would go. Yeah. But it seems to have gone really well, and you guys have been fantastic. Honestly,
you guys have been great.
Can't thank you enough.
It's great thank you for coming in, and hopefully you enjoyed this. And once we get, and if you guys enjoy this, then you know what, we'll try and set this up as potentially a weekly thing for a bit or something, and we'll see how it all goes.
Absolutely. Well, it's bye from me, and it's bye from
me as well. Bye from you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Daniel. We'll see you.
Everyone who's dropped in, if you're still here, if you're not, either way,
absolutely. Thank you. And we'll see you guys very soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.